latest cases of a frightening alien motives.
Women begin to experience the gynecological examinations done by the aliens on them.
And could our own astronauts face deadly close encounters with alien forces?
Something is out there, and what it is, I don't know.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Hello, I'm Tim White. Tonight on Sightings, people who claim to have had personal contact with aliens. They tell bizarre stories of abduction, and they suggest their captors have sinister motives. Most UFO encounters are easily debunked by experts, but there are still many sightings that cannot be explained, even by the most skeptical researchers. UFOs, they've been sighted in every corner of the Earth. Witnesses have captured strange lights and disc-shaped objects on film and video, but even before the age of technology, people worldwide were reporting UFOs.
The UFO subject goes back at least 6,000 to 8,000 years in human history. People have many times pointed to the Christian Bible and the old first 5 books of the Jewish Torah as being examples throughout history of UFO contacts. But what we're seeing today is considered by many to be examples of superior technology from somewhere else, probably another planet.
Some places have become legendary as UFO hotspots. Gulf Breeze, Florida, Roswell, New Mexico. Sightings in these out-of-the-way locations number in the thousands. The next hotspot? According to world-renowned UFO researcher Peter Gutilla, this town, Anza, California, has all the earmarks of an extraterrestrial mecca.
And we have animal mutilations, we have abductions, we have close encounters of all degrees. We've had the appearance of mysterious animals, and we've even had some of the so-called Men in Black experiences there.
At a local coffee shop, people were willing to share bizarre stories of their UFO encounters.
Kind of. I mean, that's the feeling I get like that.
They've revealed that they believe that the Men in Black are actually extraterrestrials, sighted in deserted areas near the town. Each story is stranger than the last.
And I happened to look through the trees, and I saw this vehicle standing about, just about 60 feet off of the ground. It's like a flying saucer. It had a dome on the top and a platform around, and a couple of persons walked around walking on air. I was delighted to be able to see such a thing. And then all of a sudden, it was gone.
Anza is a UFO researcher's dream, a living laboratory filled with eyewitnesses.
They moved, first saw them over here, they moved across.
This thing was so bright, there was absolutely no shadows whatsoever on the ground.
It was like a gold trail, it left a gold trail.
Gutilla believes an around-the-clock surveillance here could net scientific proof of UFO activity. Activity reported today and possibly in the ancient past when Indians here drew astronaut-like figures. Because of so much activity, the time was right. A team of UFO experts and skeptics move into the area. This will be one of the largest UFO stakeouts ever. They set up a command post on Thomas Mountain.
No one that I know of has gone out there to do what we did. We had the radar.
This radar can detect objects within radius.
This was pretty elaborate. The equipment was very expensive and very good and very accurate.
The Starlight camera is so sensitive, it can photograph objects in total darkness. Once online, it sees anything that gives off even the slightest light. It easily picks up stars that are not visible with a regular video camera.
This camera is unique because it has an intensifier, which is more than 1,000 times more sensitive than the video camera you have in your home.
Surveying the area, The researchers are looking for a UFO the locals have nicknamed Goldie, a golden glowing craft seen over and over in the night sky from this mountaintop.
Starlight, we're looking at Mount Cahuilla. This is where Goldie, or the UFO, which has been seen about 50 times in the past 3 or 4 years, usually appears. It appears in this area. And has been seen actually all across Mount Cahuilla. This is Mount Cahuilla here.
The team gathers data and keeps meticulous notes. They continually monitor the sky. Then, unexpectedly, they're visited by witnesses. Debbie Steinberg didn't want to talk about her experience in town. She hiked to the stakeout area for a private meeting with researchers.
This was about 10:30 at night that it started. And I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I found myself in a room, and I was laying on a table, and I had 6 beings, and I couldn't tell you what they were doing because I really don't know. But I remember the one that was on the left of my head took something from my head.
Researchers at the stakeout say that Debbie's story fits the classic pattern of what is known as a UFO abduction experience.
I believe that the abduction phenomenon is real, that it is extraterrestrial, that people are basically describing events that are happening to them with an objective reality.
Dr. Jacobs has investigated UFO abductions in his bestseller, Secret Life.
Usually the abduction phenomenon begins in childhood and goes all the way through old age. And so they've had a series of experiences throughout their life.
This is a rendition of the craft I saw when I was 4 and my brother was 3, and where I was zapped with light. This is a drawing of what I call the silhouettes. I'm very afraid of this rod this one carries.
The eye is long, long and thin and very black.
There was some eye contact, but it was like you and I are making eye contact right now. It's not that we're looking at each other's eyes, but we're more like reading each other's minds. That's more like what it was.
I'm a hypnotherapist. I am now specializing in UFO abduction cases.
Yvonne Smith heads an abduction support group where people can share their experiences and discuss their feelings.
I was 6 years old, and I lived in Georgia, near Macon, Georgia. And I just remember it was in the middle of the night, and I woke up, and I was staring at the side of the head of the being. And I started to panic, and a couple of the beings in the craft subdued me somehow. And they had a very large instrument that came over my head, and they showed me a little BB-looking thing. And they told me they were going to put it up my nose. But then this instrument came over my head and punctured the soft palate of my mouth, and it hurt very bad. And the next thing I knew, I was being placed back in my bedroom.
I'm finding in my cases many chilling similarities. The person is taken against their will, taken into a craft of some kind, put on a table. The women begin to experience the gynecological examinations done by the aliens on them. They feel very violated. With the men, anal probes are inserted and sperm is taken. It's all done against their will, and they're really helpless to do anything about it.
Coming up, we
haven't enhanced or manipulated the footage, and we haven't removed anything. Translation is being withheld because of the nature of the language used. Let's just say the shooter and his friend are very excited. What do you think? Is this hard and fast evidence of an extraterrestrial invasion? Is it a hologram? Or an experimental craft deployed by the military? Or is it indeed a most elaborate hoax? Here's what we found out. The footage was
antihistamine that can cause drowsiness, or Sudafed Severe Cold Formula. The one that lets you stay alert. No daytime cold and flu product has more maximum strength medicines. For non-drowsy relief, depend on Sudafed Severe Cold Formula, because people depend on you. From the makers of Sudafed.
Saturday, a fleeing suspect bloody trail.
He's pumping out.
Leads police on a bizarre chase.
Right there, right there, right there.
An all-new Cops in Philadelphia, Saturday.
The bad boys of comedy are out to get you juiced.
That tastes like somebody's dirty undershoe.
Not just somebody's, Gordy. They're mine. In living color, an all-new episode Sunday.
Regression therapy is an extremely controversial method in which abductees relive their UFO encounters under hypnosis. Some scientists suggest that what they're actually reliving might be repressed emotional trauma or subconscious fears from childhood. But for the abductee, the alien encounter is very real.
In abduction cases, many times the person will remember consciously that something strange or bizarre happened to them, something out of the ordinary. They desire to go into hypnosis to retrieve the hidden memories.
During some abductions, I'm aware of them, of their taking sperm samples in many different ways. They've done it in many different ways. With tubes, with like catheters. There's one way I have not been able to deal with emotionally or under regression, and that's one where there's a being on top of me, and I can't deal with that yet.
Under hypnosis, Jesse Long is reliving trauma that he believes is caused by his abduction experience.
As incredible as it sounds, these people are actually reliving these terrifying experiences.
Long claims to have not only emotional scars, but real physical scars as well. Even more disturbing are stories from women who believe they were abducted for breeding purposes.
As incredible as this may sound, we have come across in the research cases having to do with missing fetuses.
I remember they numbed me from the waist down, and they took something that looked like an umbilical cord attached to placenta, and they levitated it into some kind of chamber.
Later abduction scenarios, she is actually shown a baby. Now, this baby is not like a human baby that, as we know it, it's a cross between an alien and a human.
It's the central question of UFO research today. Why are they manufacturing these offspring, these babies? If we knew the answer to that, I think we would have a large part of the UFO mystery finally in hand.
Not every reported encounter with an alien is frightening and traumatic. Some people who claim contact with extraterrestrials tell us that for them, the encounter was a peaceful communication. That was certainly the case for Dorothy Izad of Vancouver, British Columbia.
I went over to the window, looked out, and there was this enormous thing up in the sky. It was in the shape of a diamond. And as I watched it, like there was a whole group of little, like, silver dollars that came out of the large ship.
Dorothy and her family reported that UFOs appeared every night.
I've been with her. I've seen these things. We all went down and we saw the phenomena, you know, flying in formation, you know, streaking across the sky, this sort of thing. She tells me what they are, but I'll never be convinced until they drag me screaming and kicking into one of their ships. And I'm afraid that's my nature and that's where it'll stay.
I found that through the test that the person is telling the truth, whatever she's doing, and that she's honest, and she's a very average, normal individual.
This is what witnesses have seen. These are not street lights, airplanes, or other conventional lights. This is actual footage of unidentified flying objects. This is a single frame of Dorothy's film, equivalent to 1/18th of a second. The streaks do not appear on the frame before or after this one, suggesting that the light is moving great distances in an 1/18th of a second.
We looked up into the sky, Dorothy too, and she went to the window, and she looked up, and she said, "Oh, come on. Do something for my friends. They've been here for so long." And right away, 3 shafts of light, as bright as anything, just shot right up into the air where we were watching.
My communications with the light beings are that they're very worried about us humans because we usually do things without thinking. The weapons we build, the way we raping the earth without thinking of the consequences.
Although it does not appear that this film has been altered, skeptics believe these images are the result of light phenomena emanating from Earth, not UFOs. But Dorothy believes these lights are alien spacecraft and that she can communicate with the creatures inside.
Coming up, what caused an unmanned Soviet probe to be knocked out of Martian orbit?
This is something that most likely destroyed the Phobos 2 mission to Mars. And it can do it again.
And our hunt for UFOs in the Southern California desert continues.
Oh, the worst part is that cough in the middle of the night.
Bad tasting medicine. She hates it.
And then not knowing how much to give them.
The best? I think the improved Triaminic is the best.
Oh, our pediatrician told me about Triaminic.
I love that accurate dosing cup.
Oh, yeah. No more guesswork.
All I know is it really works.
She just loves the new taste.
Oh, mine too.
Give us your worst. We'll give you our best. Improved Triaminic.
It works.
We feel the best way to advertise a car like Mercury Sable is the direct approach. Mention the car. Show the car. Mention the interior. Show the interior. Mention the safety features. Show the safety features. Mention Sable's commitment to design excellence and leadership. Show the car again. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
It's time to make an appointment. Scalpel. It'll be good for your health.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Oh, sorry. The doctor's in. Say.
How about a free examination? Get ready to take your medicine. If you think that's bad, when you get my bill? I hope you have protection. Dr. Giggles.
It's a good thing I make house calls.
Rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Tonight, they were the hottest team in volleyball until one of them bit the dust.
Our murderee, whose volleyball's answer to Michael Jordan.
Now it's up to you.
Can you imagine that? Being buried alive?
To track down the cold-blooded killer. You'll meet the suspects and follow the clues on the only show that allows you, the viewer, to play detective.
Come on, we got a murder to solve.
You and Lieutenant Marshak are on the case.
I like handcuffs.
Likely suspects, an all-new episode coming up next.
They're frantically marking down prices at the Lohan Furniture Building. Luxurious sofas are $199. Deluxe rocker recliners with handle are $199. Living room tables are $19. At the Lohan Building, 6-piece oak dining rooms are $499. 5-piece dinettes are $89. Black lacquer or white lacquer 4-piece bedrooms are $299. And bunk beds are $69. This sale is at the Lohan Furniture Building, 1 block off I-65 at the Jefferson Street exit, Nashville.
The greatest challenge for a serious UFO researcher is finding hard evidence. Film and videotape are easily faked, and skeptics distrust first-person accounts. The team we followed into the California desert made every effort to maintain a scientifically valid investigation. All kinds of state-of-the-art technology continue to arrive at the surveillance site.
Well, this radar works like any other radar. It's a precision piece of equipment which utilizes radio waves, which are bounced off a given target to determine its relative size, speed, and location. And that's how it communicates.
Theoretically, radar signals could also be picked up by an alien craft. Another signaling device is this laser. This high-powered laser acts as a beacon, but researchers also fear it could be interpreted by approaching craft as a hostile act.
On this laser here, you would probably be able to see it reflect off a surface approximately 2 to 3 miles away, although the laser beam does continue on to infinity. So if I was to shine the laser straight up, it would continue on beyond the Earth's atmosphere and continue on forever.
Most UFO research is privately funded, but the U.S. government is now launching its own search for extraterrestrial intelligence with the NASA program known as SETI.
SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and it's an effort by NASA and a fair number of astronomers to look for life in the galaxy. We're going to turn the world's largest telescopes toward the heavens with the idea of looking for some signs that we're not alone in the universe. The idea is to listen for radio signals that might be deliberately or perhaps even accidentally transmitted by other civilizations.
Any signals from space will be analyzed by a sophisticated computer system to determine if an alien life form is trying to communicate with us.
It's been said that in the first 30 seconds of this new NASA experiment, we'll collect more data than all the experiments of this type that have collected in the last 30 years. So that's a big step forward.
While the U.S. looks for proof of alien spacecraft, the Russians believe they already have proof.
In 1988, the Soviet Union launched 2 unmanned probes to explore Mars and the space around the planet. Phobos 2 achieved Mars orbit in January of 1989. However, something then occurred which there is apparently no prosaic explanation for. According to the Russians, they encountered with their unmanned craft an anomalous object, or a UFO, which was computed out to 25 kilometers. What we have is an infrared photograph taken from the Phobos 2 probe. This is the Martian moon Phobos. This is the UFO that apparently the Phobos 2 craft encountered. What happened was the craft observed the UFO. It took some photographs of it. Then, according to Soviet sources, this UFO turned toward the Phobos craft. The Russians then lost contact with it, and the craft has been gone ever since.
I think it took out Phobos 2 mission because Phobos 2 saw something it was not supposed to have seen. If I were in a spacecraft now to Mars, especially to Phobos, I would feel terrified because in my opinion, based on the knowledge that I have, something is out there. And what it is, I don't know. But this is something that most likely destroyed the Phobos 2 mission to Mars. And it can do it again.
Coming up, the startling results of our UFO investigation.
And I'm totally freaked out. I mean, I've got shivers going all the way up my spine.
The first time I switched pain relievers, it was from aspirin to Tylenol. Then recently, I switched again, from Tylenol acetaminophen to Advil. You see, I got these really pounding headaches, and I found Tylenol didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I tried Advil and found that for my really tough headaches, 2 Advil worked better than 2 extra-strength Tylenol tablets, better than Tylenol gel caps. For my tough headaches, Advil just works better.
And for a cold, try Advil Cold and Sinus, advanced formula for the cold season.
When Dave Thomas created Wendy's new spicy chicken filet sandwich, he said, if we're going to make it spicy...
Well, it's a start.
Let's really make it spicy.
Now we're getting closer.
So he seasoned a whole chicken breast filet by adding his own special blend of pepper and spices. And he kept on seasoning until it was perfect.
Bingo.
Come and try Wendy's new spicy chicken filet sandwich, because...
when you're hot, you're hot.
Dad? Is your family trying to tell you something? Yes, Dentine now has more breath-freshening flavor. So brush your breath clean with great-tasting new Dentine.
Introducing Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache Formula for allergies that hurt, from sinus pain or a headache. When allergies come on strong enough to hurt, new Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache Formula comes on stronger.
Sci-Fi has an eye for law and order. Here's one energy blast from a pro. Watch a sneak preview of X-Men next Saturday morning on Fox.
From the outset of their investigation in Anza, California, the research team realized that the chances of capturing a UFO on film were extremely remote. But even with a skeptical eye to the skies, the team made a startling discovery. Maintaining the surveillance equipment and recording data has been a full-time job for researchers. 2 days and nights of hard work finally pay off. After day-long preparations, a strange light appears in the sky. The camera was not in position, but skeptical observers were.
And I'm totally freaked out. I mean, I've got shivers going all the way up my spine. I don't know how to explain this. You know, I'm a pure skeptic, definitely. And to see what I just saw, there's, you know, I can't be skeptical.
We saw a yellowish orange light appear over the mountain. It traveled a little bit to our right and split off into 2 lights.
And as we watched them, they began to fade in intensity, and after about 30 to 40 seconds, they disappeared from view.
The sighting lasted only 15 seconds, but soon another UFO appeared, and this time the cameras were ready. The team captured this amazing UFO video.
You guys watching this inside?
It's going up. Going straight up.
Go, go, go. 249. 249.
We are presently watching this light, anomalous light, it's now rising above Mount Cahuilla. It appears to be more oblong or saucer-shaped than a conventional aircraft would be.
This starlight videotape may be all we ever know about the UFO nicknamed Goldie. Neither U.S. military sources nor the FAA have a definitive explanation. Researchers in ANZA now have extensive logs and video, but none of it can yet explain who or what is out there. With so many sightings and contacts reported, even the U.S. government is now taking notice. NASA will spend $100 million over the next 10 years to scientifically search for intelligent life in the universe. One wonders if this mission will show that spaceships and extraterrestrials are more than science fiction. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
On the next Sightings, some claim real-life vampires still exist today. We uncover startling new evidence of the living dead, plus a Scottish house of horror that's terrorized locals for hundreds of years. On the next Sightings.
Tomorrow, after a full hour of cops, see one of the most amazing rescues ever captured on videotape. A fireman rushes out of a burning building with an unconscious child and miraculously brings him back to life. Witness this real-life drama on an all-new Code 3, followed by The Edge tomorrow. Now, Likely Suspects is next.
Are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight on Sightings was the shocking murder of a teenage girl foretold in her own mother's mystery novel.
I had more or less written the story of our own true life horror story.
And psychic contact with the dead girl helped solve the crime. Then, from our UFO file, bizarre men in black stalk witnesses who have had UFO sightings.
His eyes were extremely long. They literally wrapped around his temples.
Startling new evidence and exclusive videotape reveals the sinister motives behind the MIB phenomenon. And a tragic car crash left this boy in a coma until a dog brought him back to life.
He licked me, then I woke up.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had large, dark eyes, claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I mean, I've been there.
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Although few psychic detectives have actually solved a crime, they can provide help to law enforcement and at least one important service to families of victims. One good lead from a psychic can often reopen a case where the police have reached a dead end. Psychic detectives have played an important role in the still unsolved murder of 18-year-old Caitlin Arquette. She was gunned down behind the wheel of her car in Albuquerque, New Mexico in July 1989. At first, police believed Caitlin was the victim of a random act of violence. But as investigators delved into the case, they soon realized there was nothing random about this murder. Even the most seasoned detectives were stunned by the strange twists and turns in this case. Psychic detectives provided intriguing leads, and eeriest of all, what appeared to be Caitlin's own attempts to reach out from the grave with information about her murderer. Crucial details allegedly from beyond directly paralleled those in a murder mystery written by her own mother. Under the pen name Lois Duncan, Lois Arquette is a successful mystery writer whose novels are filled with intrigue and terror. But there was no greater horror for Lois than discovering an uncanny link between details of her daughter's death and one of her own novels.
I didn't put any connection together in the beginning at all. It wasn't until one thing after another began to occur that I suddenly realized that I had more or less written the story of our own true life horror story. In Don't Look Behind You, I based the personality of my heroine April upon Kate. April was chased by a hitman in a Camaro. That book was published in June 1989, and in July 1989, Kate was chased down and shot to death by a triggerman in a Camaro. The most shocking thing of all to us was that when we read in the police file the Hispanic man who was arrested, his name was Mike. Everybody called him Vamp. And in Don't Look Behind You, the hitman who chased down April was named Mike Vamp.
As police probed Caitlin's brutal killing, they discovered the young woman had a secret life centered around her boyfriend, an alleged gang member believed to be involved in illegal activities. But investigators were unable to establish a direct link between either the boyfriend or his gang and Caitlin's murder. With the police department at a dead end, in desperation, Caitlin's mother turned to local psychic Betty Minch.
I rang the doorbell, and this middle-aged woman answered the door, and I looked at her. I had an instant feeling that I knew her. It wasn't that I'd met her. I had invented her. She was physically identical to Ann Summers, the psychic detective in my book, The Third Eye.
Betty Minch considers herself a bridge between the living and the dead. Minch claims she can pick up messages telepathically while in a meditative trance, channeling the words of the dead through the keys of her typewriter.
Usually I get a lot of color moving in my head. Then out of that, sometimes there will come maybe an image. And that's when the words seem to want to start pouring into my head. It was a very clear contact with Caitlin. She was right there. We had the idea that Caitlin was in some kind of trouble, that there were other things going on that the family wasn't quite aware of.
Amazingly enough, it appeared that Caitlin was conducting her own murder investigation from beyond the grave. Some of the messages Betty Minch claimed to be receiving provided police with important new leads. Investigators soon received an anonymous tip from someone who'd seen one of the Crime Stoppers posters the Arquette family had placed around Albuquerque. Arrests were made that proved psychic Betty Minch had been dead right.
She told us that the people who were arrested would have been driving a lowrider car. There would be 2 men in the front seat, 1 in the back seat, that there would be no eyewitnesses, but that arrest would be made because the men would be heard bragging, that our best help might come from somebody in the media, and she identified who that person would be, an investigative reporter named Mike Gallagher.
But there was insufficient evidence to hold the 3 suspects, and they were released. Desperate for more evidence, Lois contacted Noreen Rainier, a well-respected psychic detective from Maitland, Florida. Working with a police sketch artist, Rainier attempted to create a drawing based on impressions she claimed to be receiving from Caitlin.
I have to get their scent. I have to pick up their vibes. And somehow something personal that was on at the time of the crime gives me more information. I can pick up the scent of Katie psychically.
During Noreen's session, Lois listened in on the phone from 900 miles away.
I was sitting in Albuquerque knowing that Noreen was doing this, and I knew what the alleged trigger man looked like because he'd been arrested. I was trying to concentrate on Kate, and I was saying, tell Mother why you were killed. Was it a random shooting, as the police think, or was it something else? Send me a symbol, send me a message through Noreen Rainier. And the picture Noreen sent me was a sketch of Mike Vamp, the hitman in Don't Look Behind You, exactly as he appeared on the jacket of the British edition of that book. Everything was there, even the little scar between the eyebrows. It's like seeing something had been copied from the jacket. And I just started to shake. I couldn't stop shaking.
Lois was shocked. Caitlin had been the only member of the Arquette family to see the new book jacket of the British edition.
I just was very confused when she was telling me I got some man on a book jacket. I'm saying, what are you talking? But then it made sense that Kate was telling us it was a hit. It wasn't a random shooting. It was a planned killing. It wasn't random. And that's what we needed to know.
Even more startling is a tape recording Noreen made as she supposedly channeled Caitlin's own description of her final hours. It's Noreen's voice, but Caitlin's words.
I'm meeting somebody at a shopping center with a C in it. I went up the hill towards the north to that big place up there, to this, I want to call it the Desert Castle. There's just an important person there that I'm not supposed to know is there. I saw things that I shouldn't have seen. They had to make sure that there was no way I would ever talk. And this was a way of silencing me. My crime that was committed against me was to silence me. I'll never be silenced. I'm not a bad person. I'm just young, and I just was curious. I was a good daughter to your mother. I told you almost everything. Almost.
The incredible revelations from psychics Minch and Rainier prompted Lois to write Who Killed My Daughter? And while the police have not yet solved Caitlin's homicide, Lois is encouraged by one psychic message Betty Minch believes she received.
She said that Kate was sending a symbol, that the symbol was a wolf with a collar around its neck, its head jerked back, and the message was that Kate was very sure that the wolf who had been after her was soon to be caught and collared.
The message was particularly significant to Lois, who originally entitled her book, One to the Wolves.
I couldn't explain any of this. All I could say to myself was, it's happening. Somehow it's happening. I have now come to believe that there must be some kind of transition point where it is possible for the dead to communicate with the living, perhaps when they have a very, very strong message to get across. I think Kate was killed because she was getting ready to tell the truth, and she couldn't do it herself, and now she wanted me to do it for her.
Lois Arquette is hoping police or psychic detectives will soon find out what horrible facts Caitlin knew and who stopped her from telling the truth.
Coming up next, the frightening Men in Black phenomenon surrounding UFO contact.
I'm not afraid of them because they haven't done anything to us yet.
But what are their motives?
There have been a few cases where individuals have died under mysterious circumstances.
And later, what miraculous power brought this boy back to life? Some believe it was this dog.
Sightings is brought to you by Advil. For headaches, muscle aches, fever, backaches. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The first time I switched pain relievers, it was from aspirin to Tylenol. Then recently, I switched again, from Tylenol acetaminophen to Advil. You see, I got these really pounding headaches, and I found Tylenol didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I tried Advil and found that for my really tough headaches, 2 Advil worked better than 2 extra-strength Tylenol tablets, better than Tylenol gel caps. For my tough headaches, Advil just works better.
And for a cold, try Advil Cold and Sinus, advanced formula for the cold season. This is brand new from KFC. The taste to make you jump.
Introducing new KFC Spicy Chicken Bites. Oven roasted, skinless, tender, and juicy. Delicious.
Spicy chicken bites will make you jump. They make your mouth sing. It's a brand new chicken.
Only $1.99 a serving.
Check them out.
Now at your KFC.
Spicy chicken bites.
For a limited time only.
We dare you to feel more comfortable this month.
You're on.
Take new improved Playtex out of its applicator and compare it to the other leading tampons.
Playtex is softer and a more comfortable applicator.
I'll try it.
Playtex, dare to feel more comfortable.
UFO insiders call them MIBs. That's an acronym for Men in Black. These Men in Black are one of the least known and yet most disturbing elements of the UFO experience. The phenomenon is reported worldwide, and the stories that witnesses tell are remarkably similar. Seeing a UFO can be an exhilarating experience, but for some, that excitement soon turns into desperate paranoia. After a sighting, some witnesses report that they're threatened and harassed by mysterious thugs known to UFO investigators as MIBs, Men in Black. Just who are these Men in Black? Where do they come from? And why do they seem to be tracking and spying on those who've had a close encounter?
There it was. It's a long, lit-up, cigar-shaped object heading just over the rooftop. And then it moved out of sight, and I went back home. And when I got home, my wife said, "You just got a phone call." I said, "A phone call?" And it said that if you talk to the media about this, that your daughter will die.
Immediately following a UFO sighting, strange encounters with MIBs begin.
They would walk in seemingly from nowhere, be driving a car that may be as old as 25 years. It would be immaculate, shiny, without a mark on it. The individual, in several cases, drove down to the end of the street, turned, the guy ran down after them, and they were completely gone.
Men dressed in black, driving black cars, reportedly follow and sometimes even threaten UFO witnesses, and their motives appear to be strangely sinister.
Witnesses driving home from having lunch at a restaurant have reported seeing a UFO. Before they could get home, they had cars waiting for them, warning them not to talk about the case. An investigator was approached by a very Saturn-looking man. He said, "You know, people that look for UFOs sometimes find problems." There have been a few cases where individuals have died under mysterious circumstances.
Reports of contact with MIBs seem to follow a definite pattern and occur throughout the world. One horrified witness was harassed by MIBs after sighting a UFO near Toronto, Canada.
And it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was a knock on the door. I opened the door, and there was this very odd-looking man standing there. He had a photograph album in his left arm, and he didn't say anything for a full minute. He was about 5'6". He was extremely thin. He had a slightly enlarged head. His face was a very strange olive hue. He wore a black turtleneck. He wore black pants. He was dressed entirely in black. His eyes were not oriental looking. They were extremely long. They literally wrapped around his temples. I have never seen eyes like that. Those eyes held me. They held my attention. They seemed to be boring into me. I felt very intruded upon on a mental level by those eyes.
The Men in Black cases, for the most part, have stirred up great amounts of paranoia. In many cases, these people have attempted to pass themselves off either as government agents or in some cases Air Force officers. At one point, the FBI was very heavily involved in tracking these cases down and attempting to arrest someone, but no one was ever caught.
Composite drawings created from witness testimony lead researchers to believe that MIBs could be aliens who have come to Earth to silence people who know too much about UFOs. In Russia, one witness reported being harassed and physically transformed by a MIB. Professor Paul Stonehill translated the Russian newspaper story about the woman's MIB experience.
His touch was paralyzing and left effects upon the body of those whom he touched. His daughter, she became magnetic, and she would attract metals. And like her hands became sort of electric conductors. Her touch caused electric shock. This is taking place now because the article is from April of 1992.
MIB encounters are so disturbing, investigators fear many valuable witnesses might never come forward. Those who do believe their lives are in danger and claim MIB surveillance intensifies when they contact the media.
I think what has happened is they've gone to the black helicopters. So I think that the Men in Black have just left their black Cadillacs behind and taken up black helicopters.
These helicopters, which have been described almost as a black Huey-type Army helicopter with no numbers visible, have appeared almost silently with no helicopter noise that you associate with it.
Shirley and George Coyne are the Midwest directors of the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, a UFO research organization. The Coynes claim that they are being tailed by this silent black helicopter devoid of the necessary FAA identification numbers. This video, shot by Shirley Coyne, is the only footage of an alleged MIB encounter.
Well, this is the day we had a meeting, and the copter met us about halfway between Flint and Flushing and followed us all the way to our meeting place.
I'm not afraid of them because they haven't done anything to us yet. And I feel the more vocal I am, the less they're going to do.
Is it possible that aliens with a secret agenda are harassing UFO witnesses? Or could MIBs be cleverly disguised humans trying to silence those who've had close encounters? Investigators continue to search for answers.
It's just something that there is no explanation for. And by working on these cases and trying to use a scientific and investigative formula, we try to get to the bottom of them, but sometimes there doesn't seem to be a bottom.
Coming up next, do animals have miraculous healing powers? Some say a dog brought this boy out of a near-fatal coma.
He licked me, and then I woke up.
We feel the best way to advertise a car like Mercury Sable is the direct approach. Mention the car, show the car. Mention the interior, show the interior. Mention the safety features, show the safety features. Mention Sable's commitment to design excellence and leadership. Show the car again. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Chew on this. Nearly 7 out of 10 of us usually don't brush after lunch, especially lunches on the run. Now, chew on this. Great tasting Trident actually helps fight cavities when you chew it after meals. So when you can't brush, chew on this. Trident.
For allergies that hurt, only Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache combines maximum strength relief for sinus pain and pressure with the histamine blocker, Benadryl. Benadryl Allergy Sinus Headache. From Park Davis.
Heard the new secret? Shh. It's a pretty panty that targets your tummy to control you where you need it most. New Playtex Secret Panty Slimmer and matching bras. It really works.
Dear Big Cheese, my dream is to eat a big cheese with you. You're Little Caesar.
Wrong, kid. I'm George Barnes.
Oh, okay.
It's the Big Cheese. 24 slices of cheese and pepperoni pizza for $8.88. Pizza.
Look out, Letterman. Move over, Leno. Say goodbye, Arsenio. Here comes the new king of late night, Lamar.
Give it up one more time for me.
And the Black People Show.
The show by, for, and about peoples of blackness.
On In Living Color.
Black People Show.
An all-new episode Sunday.
Hollywood Pictures presents America's #1 comedy hit, Born Yesterday.
Oh, this will be fun.
Critics are calling it a hip, fun-filled, hilarious 10. Melanie Griffith is sensational, her best since Working Girl. It's fun, funny, and just plain wonderful. Born Yesterday is sweet, charming, and irresistible. Don't miss the most acclaimed comedy of the year, a sheer delight from start to finish.
Hello? Am I in the room?
Born Yesterday, rated PG, now playing at a theater near you.
Psychic ability. In their efforts to prove that ESP exists, the most startling evidence has come not from human subjects, but from animals. They found that family pets possess mystifying talents which conventional science can't explain.
July 19th, 1989. I'll never forget the date. We were in a car accident. My daughter Lauren was killed in the car accident. I broke my neck,
1 David 109.
and Neil sustained a traumatic head injury, and it put him in a coma for 3 months.
Lucky is not a word Amelia Stortz would use to describe her son Neil on that tragic night 3 years ago. But Neil was lucky to be alive.
He had suffered a very severe brain injury, and he was in a very deep coma when he came to us.
Neil survived, but doctors did not know if he would ever regain consciousness.
He could have been in it forever. That would be a vegetative state. And what happens in a vegetative state is that their brainstem kind of kicks in and takes over their heart and lungs and their gastrointestinal system, and their eyes are open and they have sleep-wake cycles, but they don't have the ability to follow commands and they're not aware of their environment.
In a seemingly hopeless case, where modern medicine can't provide all the answers, alternative forms of treatment may be called for. Since 1982, the Animal-Assisted Therapy program has been providing Houston area hospitals with animal companionship for patients who may not be responding to more traditional methods of health care.
When patients have had brain injuries, they're oftentimes either comatose or very disoriented, and having animals around, we know from studies, causes people's blood pressure to lessen and they become calmer. It kind of pushes the right button, so to speak, and makes it more likely that the patient's going to wake up. There are magical and miraculous things that happen all the time that defy medical science. I don't think that animals and humans working together is very explainable. And when you see something like this, it really is kind of magical.
Neil had been in a coma for 3 months, so animal-assisted therapy was one long shot his family felt was definitely worth trying.
When your child is laying there in a coma, you resort to just about anything, you know. You try anything.
With all conventional treatments exhausted, the one remaining hope was to consult a rather unique specialist by the name of Rex.
Rex was part of a regular visitation team as part of our animal-assisted therapy program, and he happened to get up on Neil's bed and lick his face, and within several hours after that, Neil began to speak.
He licked me, then I woke up.
It's pretty amazing. But if you're going to credit anything or anybody, why not credit Rex, the wonder dog?
Was Neil's recovery a miracle? Or could it have been the result of a power animals possess that we do not fully understand yet?
I mean, this was a really big tragedy, you know, to have a little boy that's in a coma, and his little sister was killed, and his mother was also injured in the accident. And it was just, you know, too much for most of us to even conceive. Neil had a lot of previous experiences with animals and really loved animals, and there's at least a hunch that it was a very normalizing experience for Neil and something that he could relate to, instead of us saying, open your eyes, close your hands, you know, yelling commands at him. It was really kind of neat that an animal kind of brought him around.
The extraordinary and inexplicable bond between humans and animals. Researchers are just beginning to study it. But Neil Stortz has already found his proof in a magical friend named Rex.
Rex is a hero because he woke me up.
People that first come to Subway are a little surprised we don't have sandwiches ready, just fresh bread. That's so you can see your sandwich being made and tell me if you like onions, tomatoes, or even hot peppers. I'm not a mind reader, and there's lots to choose from. If your sandwich looks as good as it tastes, that's because Subway has a training center where experts like Mr. Pilchin teaches the art of making beautiful sandwiches. He calls himself an art teacher. I guess that makes me a sandwich artist.
Ask a sandwich artist to make you a 6-inch tuna sub, just $1.89 for a limited time at Subway.
Discover a healthier life for your hair. Discover vibrance and revitalize your hair. Vibrant shampoos and conditioners with keratin proteins revitalize each strand with deeper shine, livelier color, and healthier fullness. Revitalize your hair with vibrance.
Have you tried my 2000 Flushes Chlorine Clear Tablet? Its powerful chlorine formula helps bleach out stains automatically, up to 4 months. 2,000 flushes chlorine clear tablet.
Look for money-saving coupon in Sunday's paper.
That's not what you told me to use last time.
Last year, doctors recommended gynolotrimine more than ever before to cure yeast infections fast.
How fast is it?
Gynolotrimine starts working on contact. For a fast cure, try gynolotrimine, the choice of more and more doctors.
Thanks for joining us. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
On the next Sightings, is the planet Earth on a countdown to doomsday?
We are going to lose a lot of lives.
We uncover the startling evidence. Then, a Russian fighter pilot who survived a frightening close encounter with a UFO. On the next Sightings.
Tomorrow, Texas police are called in when a suspected shoplifter turns violent. See exclusive surveillance video on an all-new Cops in Fort Worth, part of a full hour. Then, witness dramatic footage of ordinary citizens risking their own lives to save victims of the San Francisco earthquake on an all-new Code 3 tomorrow after Cops. Sunday, Rock's father is seeing a younger woman, and the rest of the family is seeing red on Rock Live, following in living color 2 all-new episodes Sunday.
Interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight on Sightings, some claim this man is a real live werewolf, and those who were savagely attacked believe it's true.
He's seen the transfiguration of a man into a wolf.
Then, this woman captured eerie images on film that have baffled scientists. Some say they're UFOs, some say they're ghosts. Our experts attempt to unravel the mystery.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. In a new investigation, we found that werewolves seem to be more than just fantasy. They could be victims of what's known as lycanthropy. Without warning, victims say that they're turned into raging animals. The cause? Well, some believe it's a mental illness. Others, that it's the result of demonic possession. Rational men who turn into irrational, salivating beasts may be Hollywood's version of a classic werewolf. But real werewolves aren't created by makeup artists. To outsiders, this small English town of Southend-on-Sea seems quiet, picturesque, even quaint. But there are secrets here, an evil that lies just beneath the surface. You can't see what invisible danger lurks here until Bill Ramsey tells you his story.
The story began when I was 9 years old. It was a very warm summer's evening. Suddenly the air went very cold. There was a terrible stench in the air, and I just flew into the most horrendous rage that my mother and father came out to see what the hell was going on. And the fence post was 2 or 3 inches square. It was set into concrete in the ground. I pulled it out and smashed it on the floor till it broke. Well, I don't think I could do that now. My mother and father just couldn't make out why their little 9-year-old boy suddenly started to act virtually like an animal in the garden.
Bill Ramsey thought it was an isolated childhood event. He grew up, married, had children. But then the violent episode from his childhood came back to haunt the adult. Strange animal behavior would overtake him, violence he couldn't control or explain. At first he could keep it secret, but then one day, Bill Ramsey bit someone in public, and the animal inside him wasn't a secret anymore. Soon after, Ramsey attacked a nurse at Southend Hospital.
I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
Then, without reason or warning, Bill Ramsey attempted the murder of a police officer. He was locked up, and his life became a tangle of police, psychiatrists, and reporters.
I envisaged being in prison for the rest of my life, or in a secure mental hospital the rest of my life, for something I knew I would never be responsible for.
The unassuming man with the tragic secret was famous now as the Werewolf of Southend-on-Sea.
What was causing it? I was literally at felt like just committing suicide.
Word of Ramsey's bizarre behavior spread as far as rural Connecticut, where authors Lorraine and Ed Warren were intrigued. The Warrens had documented over 7,000 cases of the paranormal, and for the past 24 years lectured on demonology at major universities worldwide.
Like I told Lorraine, I said, Lorraine, I'm not going to go before the public and start talking about a werewolf. I said, it's going to be interesting to go there, see what we can do to help this man, but that's about it.
He felt that was just stretching our credibility just a little too far to believe in werewolves. But I believe.
The Warrens went to England to investigate Ramsey's case. They had many questions. Was Ramsey a common criminal? Was he mentally ill? Or was he really a werewolf, possessed by what they believed was the devil? They spoke with Inspector Tony Belford, who was there the night Ramsey tried to murder a fellow officer.
What I actually saw that night, I couldn't really understand what it was. All I knew that it was something I'd never witnessed before. It was not natural behavior.
That night, Bill Ramsey became confused and lost control. He picked up a prostitute and without explanation drove her to the police station.
So I took the prostitute inside, leaving Sergeant Terry Fisher out in the yard with Ramsey.
He had these mad, staring eyes and this maniacal expression. That's all I can describe it as. The worst thing was what he was saying, and it was said in a very malevolent way. And I'll quote from the report I made shortly afterwards. He was saying, "The devil is in me. When the devil is in me, I am strong. I'm going to kill you. I am strong, and you are going to die."
Ramsey lunged for the sergeant's throat. Fisher, unarmed, responded with a powerful knee to the groin.
He sort of went, and crouched down, and he shrugged it off again and became stronger.
And when I came out into the yard, I saw Terry Fisher on the floor, just over in this location, with Bill Ramsey sitting on top of him with his hands around his throat.
Then there were bobbies that came to their sergeant's aid, and he threw them off, in their words, like they were matchsticks.
A little voice back here said, "Terence, you come unstuck this time."
And when you see the size of this ex-police officer, you'll say to yourself, what scared him so much? Why this one experience? Because he's seen something that very few people ever see. He's seen the transfiguration of a man into a wolf.
It took 5 officers to subdue Bill Ramsey, who was not under the influence of any drugs.
When I say he snarled and he growled, it was the impression of his lips turning up and showing his teeth. And I can recollect actually saying at the time in the reports that I filed that he took on the appearance of a mad dog.
Like a caged animal, Ramsey tried to escape.
His head, right arm, up to his shoulder was outside this hole. It's difficult to actually visualize a head and an arm out there, but I can assure you I saw it, 5 or 6 firemen saw it, a doctor saw it, and I would suggest up to 7 or 8 policemen saw it, none of which could believe what we'd actually seen.
Finally, Ramsey was heavily sedated, soaked with liquid soap, and squeezed back through the hole. Badly shaken, Officer Fisher took early retirement. Inspector Belford was left to account for Ramsey's bizarre behavior.
I submit this report for your information, and to have recorded the fact that it is in my opinion that this man will, if not controlled, end up causing fatal or serious injury to some person.
Criminal charges were not filed. Instead, Bill Ramsey was committed to a mental hospital.
Everybody thought I had a mental problem. It just didn't seem right. But I had no other answer. I couldn't say, well, it's not a mental problem. So, well, you do this normally then, do you? Does everybody, is this normal behaviour? Of course it was a mental problem. Where else could they send me? There was nowhere else.
After psychiatric tests failed to pinpoint the source of Ramsey's behavior, he was released.
What is left? The paranormal, the unknown. And that's where we come in.
Warren's told me that it wasn't a mental illness. I had no mental illness. I was possessed, demonically possessed with a wolf spirit. Oh, God. I've heard it all. And he kind of closed the evening with, would you come to the USA and be exercised? Exercise? Come on. There's some absolute rubbish they were giving me here. But maybe. I've been through all the other avenues, remember.
Coming up next, the shocking real-life exorcism when our frightening werewolf story continues.
The lips rolled up, the teeth protruded, and he tried to bite.
Sightings is brought to you by new Move Over Butter. All the smoothness and rich, creamy flavor of butter and zero cholesterol. Move Over Butter from the folks at Fleischmann's.
Though we know you love butter, Fleischmann's found something other. It's Move Over Butter. All the smoothness of butter with a rich, creamy flavor. New Move Over Butter.
New Fleischmann's Move Over Butter.
Forget about tug of war with your pantyhose. Nothing's more fitting than Legs Classics.
Basically, I thought all toothpaste were the same. But then on a visit to my grandmother's, I tried her Arm & Hammer dental care. And wow, it was a special feeling, like a burst of clean. My mouth felt so clean and so healthy that it was just like leaving the dentist's office. Then I heard that more dentists recommend Arm & Hammer than any other baking soda toothpaste. I see my dentist really often, but now I get that fresh from the dentist feeling every single time I brush.
Get Arm & Hammer Dental Care for that healthy, fresh from the dentist feeling of clean. You're invited to the Fox Comedy Party, election night on Fox.
Bill Ramsey was skeptical about the assertion that his werewolf behavior was caused by demonic possession. But ultimately, in desperation, he made the decision to go to America for an exorcism.
A British newspaper paid Bill Ramsey $20,000 for the rights to his story. His private ordeal was now a public spectacle to be played out in rural Connecticut. It was here that the Warrens introduced him to Bishop Richard McKenna, a priest who had performed the dangerous ritual of exorcism many times before.
He needed to be exorcised, no question about that. I would think that being possessed by the devil is the worst evil that could befall anyone.
I didn't know what to expect. And when you enter in a realm of the unknown, you're obviously very, very scared.
Since Ramsey had shown superhuman strength, 6 bodyguards with stun guns protected the bishop. Rare still photos are the only visual record of the exorcism.
Lord permitted, the devil could easily kill the exorcist. As I proceeded with the prayers, it didn't seem to be himself. It was just some other person were taking over him. He himself seemed to almost go into a kind of a daze.
I remember him coming to me, at me with that stole, placing it on my head, and it's as if he'd hit me with a hammer almost, because I just did not know anything after that.
It started from behind him, and the muscles in the back of the neck all began to enlarge, and the ears began to point, and he howled.
Speak, devil. Be gone in the name of God. Leave him alone. Go back to how we came from. God.
Then the hands clawed in such a manner that no human hand could claw like that.
He had begun to make the signs of the cross on his forehead and his breast, and then he would violently react and snap his hand at me, and he snarled like an animal.
The lips rolled up, the teeth protruded, and he tried to fight.
How many of you are ready to come for what keeps you here? Be gone, Satan. Leave him alone. When the devil did leave him, he came to himself.
As I came out the exorcism, you feel that you're a new person.
The man was freed. The man was freed.
I felt I wanted to kiss him, kiss Bishop McKenna, because what he'd done. I believe that I was ultimately possessed by the devil, yeah.
Was Bill Ramsey mentally ill or the victim of demonic possession? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear. What the police, psychiatrists, and his family couldn't help, the exorcism did. Ramsey returned home to England, and in the 3 years since his exorcism, Bill Ramsey has not had a single violent episode.
Coming up next, this woman captured eerie images on film that have baffled scientists. Some say they're UFOs, some say they're ghosts. Our experts attempt to unravel the mystery.
Since I graduated, I've done telemarketing, I was a bicycle messenger. I hope in the future to get a job in my field, and from there start my own life, but there are no jobs.
And there's yogurt here.
I feel trapped having to live at home. The Republicans really do not know what the average American is going through. The Democratic plan is the plan that makes the most sense. I really believe that the Democrats would bring a lot of hope and enthusiasm to this country.
Imprisoned by sinus pain, trapped by sinus pressure, it takes the power of Sanyutab to release the pressure and stop the pain. That's something Sanyutab's done for more people for more years than any other sinus medicine. Sanyutab, relief for prisoners of sinus pain.
Release me and let me live again.
The folks in Lake Edna want to know the secret of new improved KFC Extra Tasty Crispy. How chicken so crispy outside could be so tender and juicy inside. The secret is a special KFC process called double ready. Chicken and dip it in uniquely, not once, but twice, leaving the inside tender and juicy and the outside crispy and crunchy. Any questions?
Hurry and try new improved Extra Tasty Crispy from KFC.
He's back.
Are you Homie D. Cloud?
No, I'm Harry D. Frog. Damon Wayans returns on an all-new and living color Sunday.
You know, I think this is one of the most luxurious vehicles we've ever owned.
It's sure got plenty of room. I like that.
It's got power, everything.
It's really comfortable for these long rides to the beach.
Yeah, our dealer sure did us right.
Yeah, right down to the sound system.
You better hit the ground running in a new Ford truck.
Style. One more reason Ford has more repeat buyers than any other pickup. See your local Ford dealer today.
Almost every time Massachusetts housewife Stella Lansing takes a picture, she gets unexplained images on her film. Using any type of camera at all, with any type of film or videotape, Stella Lansing records what appear to be images from another dimension. We've all had strange things show up on our pictures. Glitches, scratches, strange patterns of light and shadow. Weird images are bound to show up every once in a while. But researchers in the field of paranormal photography believe some of these photos are actually a window to the supernatural. For 30 years, Stella Lansing has captured bizarre anomalies on film and videotape. Nearly every single time she takes a picture or shoots home movies, strange images appear. Here, a severed arm mysteriously floating in front of this woman's head. Strange facial lesions mark her own self-portrait. A mysterious monk appeared while she was taping a television special about Queen Elizabeth. There's a series of unique clock-like images that defy cinema and time logic, and were unheard of in the field of paranormal photography, until now.
I probably didn't realize that it was any kind of a gift or anything in the beginning. I was just trying to get proof of what I was seeing. I tried with every kind of camera I had, and as this went along, I asked someone if only I had a movie camera, and they let me borrow theirs, and that's when I started to get my very first nighttime sighting.
There is usually a rational and mechanical explanation for what produced a given image on the film, as opposed to a supernatural answer.
The idea that Stella was experiencing more than just mechanical failure first occurred to her while shooting these high-tension wires near her home in Massachusetts.
Suddenly, this burst of light came off of the knoll where I was just facing there and shot up. It seemed like in that direction, toward the moon, in the direction of the moon, south, southwest. And as it did, all these multicolored lights were flashing. And that's when I got this object that looks like arms sticking out.
A frame-by-frame analysis of Stella's Super 8 film reveals these astonishing images. A group of 4 men, which photo experts have named the occupants. In the 20 years since this Super 8 image was captured, photo analysts have debated its authenticity. I took the footage of the occupants to the Brooks Institute, the prestigious photography study center in Santa Barbara, California.
What could affect a photographic negative like that?
A stray light entering from a small hole near the camera lens, possibly some kind of after effect when the film was taken out of the camera, some kind of a very fine, hard, and short light strike that produced those patterns.
8mm motion pictures is so small, frame by frame, that it's virtually impossible to fake them without a sophisticated laboratory and animators. You'd have to run a Walt Disney studio to do it. A person like Stella Lansing could not do it.
Even more mysterious than Stella's Super 8 image of the occupants is what happens when the film is transferred to videotape. Then, unidentified voices suddenly appear. Analysts could not explain how Stella's silent 8mm film, with no soundtrack, could suddenly produce sound, replayed here at a slower speed. With no technical knowledge of photography herself, Stella searched for someone who could explain the images in her photos. Dr. Bertold Schwartz, noted psychiatrist and author, took her case and has been studying Stella Lansing for 21 years.
When I first met Stella, I became more and more curious, because here is a human being that gets these things, the kind of things you read about in the paper, but they're seldom documented as one would prefer.
In fact, it was Stella's meticulous records that set her apart. For 30 years, she had kept detailed logs of all her photos and films.
As one went over the notes that she had laboriously collected through the years, she'd write on the film boxes, she'd write on scraps of paper, she'd collect clippings, and you put it all together, the story seems to hang together. And we have to ask the question, how do we explain it? Questions and questions and questions, but then it becomes fascinating, a real mystery of the first order.
Some of Stella's most bizarre images are referred to as the clock series, images captured on film that surround such things as airplanes and church steeples, appearing at night and during the day. Strangely, when the single lights of the clock formations are enlarged, they reveal spacecraft-like images. And even more astonishing, these so-called spacecraft extend beyond the edge of the film frame.
It overlaps the frames. Indeed, the time-space barrier is smashed in some way by this housewife.
Ran the clockwork patterns on Stella's photographs. What do you make of them?
I can find some rationale in calling them a mechanical problem in the camera. Some of the consistencies from frame to frame indicate that the exposure was produced not in the camera, but somewhere as a light leak entering the camera, or some other pattern. The pattern appears to be very similar, but not always the same.
But Stella Lansing still got the clock-like formations when she used 6 different cameras, 2 different types of film, inside, outside, in daylight, and at night, in 5 different states. She even succeeded when her camera was switched for another at the last moment. So could Stella Lansing be somehow affecting her film subconsciously? To find out, Dr. Schwartz has subjected Stella to psychiatric evaluations and brainwave analyses. In 1971, Dr. Schwartz himself filmed this breakthrough field study. He and Stella journeyed from Springfield, Massachusetts to Munson Hill, to the power lines where Stella first photographed the occupants.
Stella's saying, so they're going to come, they always do. And by golly, we see these 2 orange or reddish-orange globes. First there's 1, then there's 2, they're blinking, they seem to hop around. Aim my camera at it, I hope I'm capturing this, I don't know. What does this mean?
This causes me to believe that either there's some type of mind projection, either she's somehow projecting these images onto the film from her imagination, from her own mind, or that another theory, which is certainly not provable, not by me anyway, could things exist in another dimension, in a borderline way where they flicker in and out of our dimension?
21 years later, we accompanied Stella to Munson Hill, the site of her original photo expedition. We wanted to see if Stella would get the same paranormal images under our own controlled conditions.
There's some kind of interaction here. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, it's just like when I'm driving, I seem to know where to look. I mean, I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but I seem to know when to look somewhere, and I look like that, and there it is.
Stella also took still photos of our sightings producer and camera crew, and surprising results occurred at the Palmer Photo Lab, where Stella's film was developed. The first thing their technician ruled out was light flare.
This is what's interesting right here. This seems to have solidity to it here. It's almost an oval shape. And right here also has the same thing. That is really strange.
It has all the attributes of classic camera flare.
But all the light was behind Stella, not behind the subject.
There appears to be some sort of a light source just breaking over her shoulder.
But it would be visible to the naked eye. It would be like a flash bulb or something.
It could have been a very transitory event, very short in duration, where the human eye and brain in combination just didn't recognize it, but the film did for whatever reason.
I believe in what I'm doing, and I know there's something out there, and nobody can tell me it isn't.
Debate continues on what is actually appearing in Stella's films. We'll keep you updated on the results of future investigations. With the study of paranormal phenomena in its infancy, we may never know for sure what's really appearing in Stella Lansing's films. Are the images ghosts, UFOs, or some unexplained byproduct of Stella's own mind?
Coming up, an exclusive sightings update when we revisit a Texas family threatened by a sinister apparition.
Our main objective when we designed our new front-wheel drive minivan was to make certain that it was the only vehicle in its class. Period. Introducing Mercury Villager. If it was just another minivan, it wouldn't be a Mercury. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Upon learning Little Caesars is offering 2 pizzas for $5.99, the mind enters 5 stages. Shock, disbelief, confusion, denial, and finally, acceptance. Now let's watch the subject registering denial again in extreme slow motion. 2 medium pizzas with cheese and pepperoni or your favorite topping, all for $5.99. It's a toozy-doozy of a deal. Toozy-doozy.
Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't take it serious. Life's too mysterious. You work, you save, you work.
Today, women need all the comfort and support they can get. Is it any wonder so many women choose Playtex as the bras they love to live in?
Life is just a bowl of cherries. So live and laugh at it all.
On a recent edition of Sightings, we brought you the story of the Lamonis family of Dallas, Texas, who said they were being terrorized by a ghostly entity. To rid their house of the ghostly presence, the Lamonises participated in a seance. Our team of psychics appeared to make contact, but since then, the entity has returned.
We have decided to move. Things are still happening here in the house.
She knows that I don't want her terrified and I don't want the children scared to death. And it's best that they move.
The Lamonises can't live with the fear any longer. They've moved out. But no one knows what awaits the next family that lives in this Dallas house.
To report your sighting, call 1-900-740-SIGHT. Each call, 75 cents a minute. Average call lasts 2 minutes, and you must be 18 years or older. Again, the Sightings hotline, 1-900-740-7483. On the next Sightings, a frightening in-depth report on America's epidemic of evil. From serial killers to satanic worship, we uncover the sinister truth behind this deadly lust for evil that could threaten your family. On the next Sightings.
Join us next time for new investigations. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
Tomorrow, see the daring rescue of a movie stuntman on an all-new Code 3 right after Cops. And tomorrow morning, don't miss the sneak preview of X-Men, an all-new animated event.
By our military.
Every question I ever had about UFOs was under that canvas.
Then, this peaceful countryside is the hideout for a paranormal entity so evil, it's haunted this family for a decade.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. One of the most puzzling and controversial UFO sightings in U.S. history occurred nearly 27 years ago in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. To this day, many people who have studied this sighting believe there is a continuing government cover-up of what really happened in 1965. As I discovered on my trip to Kecksburg, some believe the UFO was a meteor, others that it was an alien spacecraft, and still others that it was all an elaborate hoax. Kecksburg used to be just like a lot of other small villages in western Pennsylvania. But in 1965, Kecksburg lost its anonymity when it became one of the world's most famous UFO landing sites.
I happened to look up in the sky and I seen this red fireball.
It sure wasn't a meteor, because I've seen them fall before. And I never seen any of them with blue lights on.
And it looked like it made a turn and come back again. And when it come back, it seemed like it went down.
It was December 9th, 1965, a night that many townspeople will never forget.
I got my flashlight and I started down through the woods up to where it was at.
There was no wings, there was no tail section, there was no motors, there was no windows, there was no doors. It was big enough for a grown person to stand up in.
It had like Egyptian writing, like backwards writing on it.
Stars and circles and dashes and lines and things like that.
It looked like an acorn.
It was really weird.
Some claim the UFO wasn't the only thing to arrive that night.
It wasn't too much longer. Down through the woods come two gentlemen. The one gentleman, very ramrod straight, very authoritative voice, crew-cut hair. I mean, he just reeked of military. He looked at the object and looked at us. He says, all right, this is now a restricted area. It means we're all ordered out of here.
Some military people come to the house and just said they'd like to use the phone. They sort of took the house over.
We started talking among ourselves, what's going on. About that time, up here on the road, comes a big flatbed truck in.
The flatbed went down and empty, and they come back out with something on the back of it covered up about the size of a Volkswagen.
That truck was hell-bent for leather, and if you'd have walked out on that road, you'd have still been there, because they'd have scraped you up with a putty knife. They weren't stopping for anything or anybody, and that began the real mystery of this whole thing.
27 years later, what happened down there in that woods surrounded by fields, if anything happened down there at all, is still a matter of bitter controversy.
You've got this town split into two groups. You got the believers and the non-believers.
There's been some friendship lost, and it's foolish as far as I'm concerned.
I have a brother-in-law that he hasn't spoke to me for 2 years, said that I lied about everything, but I never lied about a thing.
You got neighbors and neighbors that has known each other all their life. Now they don't want to talk because one believes it and one don't believe it.
Just as the town is divided, so too are experts who have researched what really happened in Kecksburg. Planetary expert Robert Young believes that some citizens may have perpetrated a hoax. He claims the UFO was merely a meteor known to have passed over Ontario and several northern states that evening.
Virtually all of the accounts can be explained by people having looked toward and seeing the Ontario meteor.
How about the accounts, though, of the military that turned out in large numbers, kept people away from going down there, a truck that went down into the area and came out? You got eyewitnesses that say, this happened.
Right. I understand it. I have written, signed eyewitness accounts from 61 local people who say that there was nothing crashed here or was recovered. There was no military occupation.
A lot of people probably think you're the government.
Well, sure, yeah, but I'm not.
I don't know how some people can say that nothing ever happened when there were so many people that saw things that night. Something had to happen.
I know what I saw, and I'm not going to deny it. They can tell me I'm lying, but I know that I seen the military in my house that night.
Freedom of Information Act states there was 212 military personnel here that night.
Sightings attempted to speak with the Kecksburg residents who deny anything extraterrestrial ever happened here, but they all refused our invitation to talk. Even the landowner whose property was the alleged crash site remained silent.
I think the government bought them off, or threatened them with something that got them scared half to wits.
Ironically, their refusal to talk has only deepened the controversy. UFO researcher Stan Gordon heard about the Kecksburg incident on the radio the night it allegedly happened in 1965. He's been investigating the sighting ever since.
So much of what we know about the case now, we've learned since about 1987.
with the fact that now we have at least 4 different eyewitnesses who apparently saw the object on the ground at Kecksburg. The fact that there are dozens of people independent of each other who don't even know each other yet, who have given us detailed information about what they experienced and saw that night. And they're giving us confirming information that has not been published yet.
The skeptics, and these include the people who own the land and some very substantial citizens of Kecksburg, think that this whole thing is loony. Why do they feel so strongly the other way?
Could be that some of these people were in the wrong place at that time. They were in a position where they didn't see what was going on. And if you see the geography of the area and where the majority of people were that night, they could not have seen the military activity that was happening on the land on the other side of the area down there.
Do you have any hard evidence at all that what went down in the woods near Kecksburg was something other than a meteor, or was anything at all?
Unfortunately not. As in so many of these cases, you have to go by the eyewitness accounts. And in this case, the eyewitness accounts are very, very strong. And again, unfortunately, we don't have that type of information. If this was the case, whether it be a space probe or in other UFO cases, sure, if we had the physical hardware, the mystery would be over.
What do you think it is?
What do I think it is? At this point, and again, this is not conclusive, at this point, the weight of evidence would point in the direction that this may have been a Soviet space probe.
If the object were proven to be a Soviet space probe, then many questions would be answered. If a Soviet device landed in Kecksburg, the government would have been required by international treaty to recover and return immediately any space debris to the country of origin. But retired Army Sergeant Clifford Stone doesn't believe the Soviet probe theory.
If this was of Soviet origin in 1965, the State Department would have released documentation to me under their Moondust files. To date, none of that information has been forth.
Clifford Stone collects government documents about space debris recovery operations, like Project Moondust and Project Blue Fly. He began his investigations in 1965, when, as an Army sergeant, he witnessed a top-secret delivery to Lockbourne Air Force Base, about 200 miles from Kecksburg.
I noticed that on the back of the vehicle, it had something that was covered by a tarp. It was about 10 to 12 foot at the base, 12 foot tall. It looked like a chocolate drop. When my friend told me that every question I ever had about UFOs was under that canvas, I was mystified.
Since that time, Stone has repeatedly attempted to obtain information from the government regarding that object. Each time, the government's response has been the same.
They have taken the stance, by direction of the President of the United States, we may neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of any information that all involve the recovery of unknowns.
Kecksburg remains a town divided. The only thing on which believers and non-believers can agree is that all they want to know once and for all is what really happened on December 9th, 1965. What would you like to see happen next?
It's time now, after 27 years, that the public has the right to know the true facts, regardless of what the object was or what really occurred. Something came down. From numerous eyewitness accounts, there was a lot of military activity into this small village. Then an object was located, that it was recovered, it was transported away for study. What was the object, and why after 27 years haven't they revealed what really was found?
Joining us now from Houston is spaceflight engineer and author James Oberg, who has studied the reported sighting in Kecksburg and has his own theory about what landed there in 1965. Mr. Oberg, first of all, do you believe that something crashed in Kecksburg in 1965, and was it a UFO?
If it's anything, it might be something a lot more Earth-like. It might be a spacecraft from Russia and not from Mars. It turns out we do know that a Russian probe fell back to Earth that day, and it was a special kind of probe. It was one of their probes to the planet Venus. It failed, was trapped in Earth orbit, and eventually fell out of orbit.
What might have been on that Russian space probe that the U.S. would have been so interested in?
Oh, the most important thing about the probe would be the heat shield. How thick it was, what material it was made out of, how heavy it was. And once we knew that, we could then analyze how big their warheads would be in their ICBMs. The same kind of material was used there. Also, their most advanced electronics would be in that probe. Their most heat-resistant kinds of materials, the very best of their entire military-industrial complex technology. It would have been a treasure trove in terms of the Russian space and missile technology.
Do you think we will ever know with certainty what really happened in Kecksburg?
Well, I guess the dream is that someone will come forward with an official government report. It might exist, it might not. 20, 30, 40 years ago, people's memories, as you know, tend to keep changing and growing as the stories get told and retold. I think there's lots of stories in UFO folklore that we'll never really know what happened behind them. That's the fascination.
James Oberg, thank you very much for joining us.
Good night.
And we'll be back with more sightings in just a moment.
Coming up next, a sinister entity has haunted this family for years.
I opened my eyes, and there was this thing that was standing over me.
Our investigation next.
Sinus weather, and your sinus medicine has made you drowsy. Next time, take Sudafed Sinus for relief of pain and pressure without drowsiness. Sudafed Sinus. Fast relief, not fast asleep.
Red, irritated eyes can say things about you that aren't true. They can look worn out, upset, stressed out, even if you're not. Use Visine Extra. It cools, soothes, gets the red out. Look your best with Visine Extra.
With its V6 engine, smooth, quiet ride, and easy front-wheel drive handling, the newest Mercury will, quite frankly, remind you of some cars you've driven before. That's what makes it so different. Introducing Mercury Villager. The minivan that drives like a car. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Saturday, see the amazing rescue of a race car driver whose dragster bursts into flames at over 200 miles per hour. When a rash of apartment fires breaks out across the city, Boston firefighters are pushed to the limit as they race to save dozens of trapped victims on an all-new Code 3 After Cops Saturday.
Sunday, right after the presidential debate. Catch an all-new in living color at a special time, 8:30, 7:30 Central, followed by an all-new Married with Children.
Since 1978, Robert and Reba Malone and their 4 children have lived with frightening and confusing events that make them believe the family is haunted by demonic entities. They claim the hauntings began 14 years ago, the day their daughter Nikki was born. Is there a connection? The Malones believe there is, but others in their small Georgia community aren't convinced.
Carrollton, Georgia is home to at least one family who believes they're haunted. And their strange plight has become the subject of radio talk shows in the area.
So let's go to the phone lines and welcome to Afternoon Talk.
Well, I'm not one of your people that goes to talk about a ghost.
You're not?
Nope.
Morris, what do you think about that whole situation?
A ghost?
Yes.
I don't more believe it than if I had a hole in my head.
On the rural farms just outside of town, in Carrollton's quiet neighborhoods, and on Main Street at the Pitty Pat Cafe, discussion about ghosts and the unfortunate Malone family is unavoidable.
I never met any yet, but I believe in them.
I don't believe in ghosts. I haven't never seen one, and I don't believe nothing I don't see.
I think that the majority of the people believe in ghosts, but they won't admit it.
Whether or not the townspeople here believe in ghosts, they do admit that the Malone family is running scared. The children race home before dark, where they stand guard against what they believe are demons. Since the Malones moved to this Carrollton home 2 years ago, things haven't improved. They fear any home they live in will become a battleground for something bizarre, something evil.
I definitely think it's the devil.
I feel like that I can't protect my children from it.
It's after to kill one of us in the family, all of us.
I've wondered a lot of times if this evil spirit was working through our sick child, our sick daughter.
Sometimes people turn to paranormal explanations because there is an explanation that they don't want to face.
They claim the terror started the day their youngest daughter was born, but that it's unrelated to her medical condition. The family believes her brain damage, asthma, and kidney transplant have nothing to do with the evil force that plagues them daily.
It's attacked my brother at one time. It's had him up against the wall and choking him. He was swinging in midair. Nothing was there. There was no arms, nothing. Where is it at? You can't see it.
I opened my eyes, and there was this thing that was standing over me. It was real big, and it was black. I couldn't move.
I woke up and I saw something walking through the hall. It looked like it didn't have no head over there.
All these people can't be seeing and hearing the same thing, so therefore it's not imagination. It can't be.
Part of the motive of the family is to hang together. And since their motive is to hang together, they would not necessarily say, oh, don't believe that. That's not likely, because that, in a certain sense, might threaten the togetherness, the sense of togetherness of the family.
Anybody that would experience it would know that it's real.
The Malone's daughter-in-law has recorded each paranormal encounter in her diary. Her entries tell the story of a family in crisis, enjoying short-lived periods of serenity, followed by days, weeks, even months of terror.
The family in Georgia is being plagued by inhuman evil spirits that are affecting their lives on every possible level. They have fled from house to house to try to escape this evil, but you cannot escape it. It must be dealt with, it must be documented, and it must be gotten rid of through spiritual means.
In 1990, the Malones contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, world-renowned for their work with victims of what they feel is demon possession. First, they studied the family's claims and their psychiatric history. Only then did the Warrens agree to conduct a face-to-face investigation.
A figure, a dark black figure, about 4 feet.
I saw balls of light continuously, probably the size of a tennis ball.
I had heard rappings there, rappings right underneath my feet.
This audio cassette is the only record of the night the Warrens were working with the Malones, and claim a jar of pennies levitated and smashed into a researcher, and then a family member.
The martyrs and the saints command you. Reveal your identity. Give us a sign that you want the Malones out of this house.
The pennies picked themselves up, jar and all, had to move out of the room, come through the door. It first clipped Joe hard on the shoulder, and then went and got the son right in the face.
And I was, just terrified. And I ran out of the house. I was crying, my nose was bleeding.
It was so heavy and so humid that night. And yet, as soon as you started to provoke in that house, we were getting that psychic cold. It was coming like in waves, like as if there was a fan blowing from a freezer.
I could feel it on my ankles first. It was true psychic cold.
The women were shouting, and everybody was running around confused. Eventually, the phenomena ebbed, and things calmed down, but everybody slept in the living room that night.
No, I'm not crazy. No, I'm not on drugs. No, I don't drink, period.
It's not a fraud. It's not a hoax. It's not a psychologically disturbed family.
You want to call it devils, demons, I don't care. But there are things surrounding this family that are so terrifying that the average person looking at us right now could not in any way accept unless they were there and living it.
After the Warrens' first visit, family life seemed to return to normal, but those were rare moments of peace. Soon, the hauntings returned, and then got worse. Desperate for relief from their nightmare, the Malones turned again to the Warrens. And this time, the Warrens asked Sightings to document their work with the Malone family.
What else happened that was unnatural?
Lights had started appearing in the living room. And my wife, she screamed, and she had got something bit her on the neck.
Could you describe that bite to us?
I just felt it bite down, and I slapped my hand over it.
But there was nothing there?
No.
Was it
when
an
I brought it
insect?
down, then I had slime
Slime?
all over my hand.
Can I ask you something? How old was Nikki when she was baptized?
She had been baptized.
She's been baptized now, though. Not yet? Not being baptized. Her aura is wide open.
It leaves her
When a
very
person
open.
becomes baptized, that closes up all the chinks in that supernatural glow that we call an aura, and evil can't penetrate it.
The Warrens believed that baptizing the Malone's 14-year-old daughter was essential. As a prelude to that baptism, a priest was called in to bless the family.
Of this house and its occupants and possessions, that you may bless and sanctify them.
If you can't feel the exertion of the powers of evil, you'd be insensitive, because these are miracles in reverse.
It's not the most responsible thing to come to a family, perform some kind of quick religious ritual, and then tell them that everything's going to be okay. I don't think that human life is that simple.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
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 And there's the sign of the Jesus Holy Cross on your forehead, love. Amen.
This time, the Malones are once again filled with hope for the future, free from the hauntings of their past. But the lasting effectiveness of Father Regan's blessing and the baptism is still unknown. The Malones hope that the evil, whatever it was, has passed and their nightmare is finally over. The Malones might have been helped by other types of therapy, counseling, or prayer, but they chose the method that they felt would be best for their family. You or I might not choose the same course, but how to cope with serious family problems is a very personal and individual decision.
Coming up, when Christopher Columbus asked to be buried in Santo Domingo, no one minded. But today, many claim his ghost has cursed this town with disasters for 500 years.
Dad? Is your family trying to tell you something? Yes, Dentine now has more breath-freshening flavor. So brush your breath clean with great-tasting new Dentine.
Fido, Fido. Fetch Fido.
Is your best friend trying to tell you something? Yes, Dentine now has more breath-freshening flavor. So brush your breath clean with great-tasting new Dentine.
Are we having orange juice with breakfast?
Daddy, of course we are.
Oh, these aren't the little glasses I'm used to.
Orange juice is good for you. Have a big glass.
Orange juice. It's got the vitamins, minerals, and taste that make you feel so good.
No bacon and eggs?
Nope. Bulgur wheat muffins.
100% pure Florida quality orange juice. It makes you feel so good.
I'll have seconds.
Another muffin?
No, orange juice.
Oh.
Wendy's spicy chicken. Yeah, it's different. Because Dave's different. He's a rebel. They zig, he zag.
Wendy's new spicy chicken filet sandwich is a whole breast that's specially seasoned with Dave's own blend of pepper and spices.
Dave, spicy? That's intriguing.
What can I say? When you're hot, you're hot.
Wendy's spicy chicken filet sandwich. It's caused quite a stir.
A man his age shouldn't be making spicy food. Amen.
He was the most popular gopher on television.
It only hurts when I laugh.
Until someone decided to exterminate him.
Alan Bender, born funny man. Even got a laugh dying.
Now you and Lieutenant Marshak are on the case.
Did he ask to be buried in his gopher suit?
That was my idea.
Together, you'll unravel a mystery of lust, revenge, and murder.
Nothing like this ever happened to Captain Kangaroo.
Likely suspects, next.
We're going to go back to our second childhood. Because he's a little hot rod in this car. Because it does get up and go. I know, because I can get up and go in it. But he's worse than I am. He's like a little kid in that car. He doesn't let any grass grow under his feet, do you?
No.
Are you going through a second childhood?
No, I'm just...
You haven't finished your first.
I'm just going to be a sexy senior citizen, that's all.
Okay.
1992 marks the 500th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World and his discovery of what is now the Dominican Republic. Columbus so loved the Caribbean paradise that he asked to be buried there. When he died, the native people obliged. But now, many present-day Dominicans regret their ancestors' decision. They strongly believe Christopher Columbus's remains are cursed. On August 4th, 1946, the worst earthquake in 100 years hit the Dominican Republic. The very day residents were celebrating the island's discovery by Christopher Columbus.
Every time in Santo Domingo his name is mentioned, evidently something bad seems to happen.
Dominicans call him simply the Great Admiral, fearing that the mention of his name in the past has caused plane crashes, landslides, and a plague of ants.
He was smitten with bad luck all of his life, really. He didn't know where he was going when he left, and he didn't know where he had been when he got there, and he did it all on borrowed money, and he died in poverty.
Columbus's remains will soon be moved to a new memorial, and residents worry that this may trigger a new series of disasters. If you've had an encounter with the paranormal, like the people in Santo Domingo, or if you photographed or videotaped what you believe is a UFO, our Sightings investigative team wants to know.
To report your sighting, call the Sightings hotline at 1-900-740-SIGHT. Each call 75 cents a minute. Average call lasts 2 minutes, and you must be 18 years or older.
Hey, Frosted Flakes fans, got a sweet spot. Hit it with a sweet shot. Sweet as honey, go crispy corn, wheat corn. It's your spot, crunchy, sweet.
Crunchy.
Touch of honey, it's what it's got. Put her there. Gotta have it. Wanna hit your sweet spot? Right down the middle. Hit it with a sweet shot. Sweet as honey, go.
Now, for sinus sufferers, the makers of full prescription strength Actifed introduce new Actifed Sinus, daytime, nighttime. The only sinus relief system that makes it simple to treat sinus pain right, day and night. The daytime formula breaks up sinus congestion so you can breathe without making you drowsy. The nighttime formula is maximum strength so you can rest.
Your sinus is better?
Yeah.
New Actifed Sinus, daytime, nighttime. Treat sinus pain right, day and night.
Vittorio! Ciao! You may not be aware that Bubble Italian bread shell is made with fresh mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, garlic and imported olive oil.
Oh, it fills my heart with joy to see you eat so well.
Mamma, when you have things like chicken and fresh vegetables. More
broccoli, Vittorio.
You have created your own magnificent pizza in just 8 minutes, huh? Crispy outside, soft inside.
Eat, mangia.
Remember, only you can top Bubble.
But don't eat so fast.
On the next Sightings, some claim that extraterrestrials are living among us. How are they mutating to human form, and what are their sinister motives? And then, the U.S. military's own top-secret UFO on the next Sightings.
Join us next time for new investigations into the unexplained. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
Tomorrow, after a full hour of cops, see actual footage as a race car bursts into flames and rescuers must brave the inferno to save the driver on an all-new Code 3. Now, stay tuned for Likely Suspects.
On all available information. Tonight, on Sightings, many thought the mystery of the English crop circles was a hoax, but our ongoing investigation has uncovered startling evidence that may prove extraterrestrial contact.
This intelligence is almost certainly not human.
Then, what sinister spell has cursed the British royalty for 600 years? We uncover the royal curse tonight.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Since the early 1980s, over 2,000 crop circle formations have been discovered in 30 countries, and new ones are being reported every month. Theories about where they come from range from weather anomalies to extraterrestrials to crazed hedgehogs doing a mating dance. Well, obviously some theories are more credible than others, but the fact remains that something is happening in fields around the world that no one can fully explain. The stories of unexplained designs appearing mostly in the farm fields of England hit an all-time high in 1990. News media from around the world were quick to hail these enigmatic circles and lines as the strangest scientific discovery of the 20th century. For a brief period, crop circles became the darling of popular culture. But then, two hoaxers stepped forward to claim that they had created the crop circles. And just as quickly as the phenomenon began, the media dropped the crop circle story. The hoax theory stuck, and soon the only people still interested were hardcore theorists and scientists.
Initially, these were simple single circles, but in 1990, the patterns became much more complex, dramatically so. and blew right out of the water some of the early theories.
The early formations were the size of a domestic room. Now you have formation which are almost the size of Central Park, so that we have enormous growth, both in complexity and in size and in numbers.
Michael Green is an archaeologist and architecture historian who is also one of the founding members of the Center for Crop Circle Studies.
We're not a religious cult. We're not a strange, wacky branch of the UFO movement. We are trying to use rational means to establish what's going on. And the first thing we learnt, and this year in particular, is that there are a few hoaxes.
I'm Dave Chorley, this is Doug Barr, and we are the two people that have created the crop circles in 1978 through to today.
The most impressive thing to me, and the reason why I actually stopped and listened to what they had to say, was not really what they told me, but what they did in the field. Because when they did the demonstration out in Sussex at Chilgrove, the formation itself was quite messy, but it was amazing how quickly it happened. In 45 minutes, this huge formation was laid down, and that's even accounting for the fact that half the world's press were tramping around it as well with them, asking them for interviews at the same time.
But Doug and Dave had only done a few of the hundreds of circles that had been done, and from the evidence, their public demonstrations in broad daylight, they weren't very good at it. But no one really knew what hoaxers could do and what they couldn't do. And so I thought, well, here's an ideal opportunity for a scientific experiment, and the best way to do it is through a competition.
Biologist and author Rupert Sheldrake did organize a competition held earlier this year. The challenge was to see if anyone could create crop circles that could not be identified as hoaxes. The circles were made at night, and the next day, the contest winners demonstrated their techniques.
What we found was that the standard of artificial circle making was much higher than most people had expected. These people could do very well. The standard was very high indeed, and the most surprising thing was that people could do all this in complete darkness with making very little noise.
I flew the site the next day, and the aerial pictures that we took show some of the centers of these formations displaying exactly the characteristics that the genuine circles have displayed, and exactly the characteristics that many of the experts have said couldn't be done by people. Things like making rings without having a hole in the center where somebody stands. Things like producing a radial effect where the crop splays out from a central point. And the team that won and the team that came second and third produced really marvelous formations which the judges were very impressed by.
So what they show is that many of the features of crop circles could be hoaxes, but they don't show that they are hoaxes. And I mean, the analogy that I find most helpful is the fact you can forge a $20 bill doesn't prove that all $20 bills are forgeries.
The first and primary feature, which is evident in the genuine phenomenon and not in the hoaxes, is the spiraling fingerprint.
Colin Andrews heads up the Circles Phenomenon Research Group in Brantford, Connecticut. He has co-authored 2 books on crop circles and is believed to have visited more actual crop circle sites than any other researcher.
This particular screen shows clearly the difference between the fingerprint, this is the print at the top here, of the genuine phenomenon, the real phenomenon, and all of those hoaxes which we're hearing so much about these days.
Andrews believes that the most important patterns to be studied are those where the flow of the crops changes direction within a single circle, a pattern no human has yet been able to duplicate in public.
I think the single most convincing argument for a real phenomenon and against the hoax are the effects that the phenomenon are having upon the plants themselves. Dr. Levingood, a well-known physicist in the United States, has discovered changes in the structure of the plants themselves, in cell structure of the plants, molecular structure of the plants on a number of continents.
When a formation hits, it just knocks the heck out of the embryo. They don't grow. The seeds don't develop.
Dr. Levengood has discovered that the cell structure of the crops within a formation are distinctly different from undisturbed crops nearby, and that this new cell structure seriously alters the crop's growth. Let me get this straight. A plant that is in a formation undergoes an internal change so that seeds taken from that plant grow a different kind of plant or an altered plant?
Altered in both the growth rate and the germination. In some cases, it increases quite significantly.
Some people maintain that hoaxsters created not only some, but all of these formations. You buy that?
Oh, God, no. No, this is utterly ridiculous. No. If they had that kind of energy, they wouldn't be wasting it out in the field making impressions in a crop. It'd be a new kind of energy distribution, let's say, that I have never heard of.
Mathematician Gerald Hawkins is another scientist with an intriguing theory. Professor Hawkins made his mark in the 1950s when he came up with an explanation for Stonehenge, still accepted today. Now, Hawkins has devised a mathematical formula relating the crop circles to the notes of a musical scale. Help us understand that. You're not suggesting that because there's a relationship between the ratios of the crop circles and the ratios of musical tones that you can somehow play the crop circles.
I'm not saying that the crop circles are musical. I'm saying that they follow the same mathematical law as the major diatonic scale. No natural physical process that we know will generate the diatonic scale, which is, of course, the white notes on the piano. Therefore, the only theory that we can put forward is that it's done by human beings. It's all a hoax. But they're clever hoaxes, and if it's not a hoax, then we have a major scientific problem on our hands.
Professor Hawkins has studied the ratios of the sizes of crop circles and found the same ratios between notes in the diatonic scale. If the music doesn't seem listenable, then it seems to imply there's something beyond music being communicated here.
Yes, it could be a copyright insignia of the primary hoaxers or the crop circle makers, and perhaps they may use this later for further information transmission. But I'm not going to predict what crop circle makers will do next.
Dr. Hawkins, you're implying that if even one of the crop circles is not the work of a hoaxer, that science will have to rethink everything?
I'm afraid so. You only need one in this case, and you have a mystery.
What, of course, stands out clearly now is that we have the uncomfortable fact that this intelligence is almost certainly not human. And this is where people become extremely nervous. The media becomes very nervous. The press becomes extremely nervous. They don't like mysteries like this. One of the reasons that some thinkers have thought might be behind this is the position of the Earth in terms of the terrible damage that is being done by man. Could we be dealing with something which is trying to warn us?
Either it's very skillful hoaxers with a tremendous sense of humor, or it's some non-human intelligence that's completely off the scale of anything that we've contemplated so far. But if they are communications of Gaia or nature or aliens or whatever, if they're communications of some kind from a non-human source, it's not quite clear what they're saying. Their main message so far seems to be, watch this space.
Are we any closer today to unraveling the mystery of what or who created the crop circles? Joining me now is George Wingfield, Director of Field Research and founding member of the Center for Crop Circle Studies in London, England. George, welcome to Sightings.
Hello, Tim.
The crop circles have changed over the years. The shapes have changed, the number have changed. Have you learned anything from those directions?
There's no doubt at all that these are of some sort of intelligent origin, and this appears to be non-human.
What do the circles seem to be leading toward?
I think they are leading us towards an understanding of some other level of intelligence which is not human.
Do you believe, George, that the crop circles are an ancient phenomenon, that they've always been there, they just haven't been accounted for by modern means?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think the crop circles started appearing in quite recent times, probably less than 30 years ago. There may have been a few before that, but very, very few.
For you, do the crop circles inspire
hope or fear or merely curiosity?
Well, they certainly inspire hope. I believe whatever is causing the circles is something which is benign. I don't believe there's anything hostile or evil here, which is what some people would have you to believe.
George Wingfield, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
And we'll be back with more sightings in just a moment.
Coming up next, what sinister spell has cursed the royal family for 600 years?
You can't escape it.
We reveal the secrets of the royal curse next.
Sightings is brought to you by Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold Medicine. Relieves your tough cold symptoms. It's tough medicine.
Here's where Alka-Seltzer Plus fights tough colds with tough congestion, tough aches, tough sore throat.
This is why you need a tough medicine. Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold Medicine. The leading cold pill only relieves congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus relieves congestion, sore throat, headache, body aches. That's tough medicine.
You bet it's tough.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold Medicine. It's tough medicine. For a cold with a cough, try Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold and Cough Medicine.
Just because you go all out, doesn't mean you gotta stink. Now if you're wearing this, and here comes your chance to prove it. And you will, because Old Spice works. Man, does it work. Fights wetness, kills bacteria. The proof?
Hey, hotshot.
You're looking at her.
Old Spice antiperspirant for great odor protection. You demand proof, not promises.
Saturday. Experience the terror of a drive-by shooting.
28 rounds were fired into the house.
Cops in Denver, an all-new episode Saturday. It's not a night at the opera, but a perfect body slam can be a beautiful thing. Saturday night's main event, right after Cops, Saturday on Fox.
In the past 2 years, Britain's royal family has endured an unprecedented amount of scrutiny and negative press. And some people are not surprised because they believe the House of Windsor is suffering under an ancient curse. Are the Windsor curse and the current royal troubles just coincidence? Or can a curse really create scandal, hardship, and even death? A curse is one of the most ancient forms of ritual still surviving today. It can be an elaborate spell or hasty words. King Tut's tomb was believed to be cursed, and some of those who entered it did die under unusual circumstances. The Hope Diamond, the largest in the world, is also thought to carry a curse. But can people really be harmed by something that many believe is merely superstition?
Curse is magic, black magic. That is a negative wish that can be made by word of mouth, by saying something that would harm somebody. Anybody can be victimized. Anybody is vulnerable.
Throughout this century, Britain's royal family has been the object of scandal and tragedy. From the abdication of Edward VIII to the bloody terrorist attack that killed Prince Charles' favorite uncle. Recent revelations about Princess Diana's unhappy marriage and Fergie's impending divorce from Prince Andrew are just the latest misfortunes that some believe are caused by a little-known royal curse. If such a curse exists, could it explain why, for the first time, the role of the whole British monarchy is being questioned, and some are even calling for its end? In 1986, speculation arose that the personal and public misfortunes of the House of Windsor were due to a centuries-old curse. It was believed to have first taken its toll on the Queen Mother's family in the early 19th century at their ancestral home in Scotland. Rumors about the curse surfaced after it was revealed that 2 nieces of the Queen Mother, thought to be dead, had actually been hidden away in a mental hospital for over 40 years. The nieces, Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, are also first cousins to Queen Elizabeth, who is a direct descendant of the Bowes-Lyon family.
The fact is that the Queen has an enormous number of cousins, and if you looked through the list of them all, you would find all sorts of, unfortunate characters. So too, there were 2 nieces of the Queen Mother who it was understood and indeed published that they had died many years ago. And what happened was that they were born mentally deficient.
What actually happened in 1986 was that both these women were alive and well at this stage. It is not known whether or not the Queen Mother knew
about their existence. It was a scandal at the time because it left a tarnished image on the woman that was otherwise known as the nation's favourite granny.
The origin of the royal curse is believed to date back to the 17th century and Glamis Castle in northeastern Scotland. Glamis is the ancestral home of the Bowes-Lyon family. Here in the 1600s, the Lord of Glamis Castle made an error in judgment that many believe the current royal family is still paying for.
One of these stories is a result of the feud that existed between the Ogilvy and the Lindsay family. And the story says that a group of Ogilvys were fleeing from the Lindsays and came to Glamis and asked for shelter. And the story says that what he did was to give them shelter in a small room in the thickness of the wall, but then he closed them in, and eventually that room was walled up, and of course they died a terrible death.
The Ogilvys were entombed in Glamis Castle for over 100 years. When their chamber was finally opened in the 1700s, a grisly discovery was made.
They had been so desperately hungry before they died that they'd even got to the stage of eating their own limbs. At least one of the skeletons had his teeth around his forearm.
Some believe that when the wall came down, a curse was let loose upon the residents of the castle, a curse conjured up by the murdered members of the Ogilvy clan. The first manifestation of the curse is thought to have occurred in 1821, with the birth of the then Earl's firstborn son, Thomas Bowes-Lyon, the great-great-great-uncle of Queen Elizabeth.
He was if you like, a hybrid between Quasimodo and Phantom of the Opera. His entire body was covered with hair, almost like an ape. He had very small arms and very small legs. And when his father, the 11th Earl, saw his son and heir, he was so horrified that he banished him from his sight.
And the story even goes that he lived to be 100 years old, which would mean that he was still alive in 1921.
There is a sort of infamous story about the Glamis monster, but frankly, I don't know anything about it. I mean, as far as we are concerned here at Glamis, it simply never happened.
The curse of Glamis Castle has never been openly discussed by the royal family. Any discussion about the curse is vigorously denied by anyone employed by the family.
Family take very strong exceptions to that particular story. And again, as far as they're concerned, it's a load of rubbish.
It is interesting that it's the way to get a very, very frosty royal look is if you mention this monster and any story about it in the presence of the Queen Mother or any of her immediate family.
They've never actually commented on the story on the record. But when the Queen Mother's biographer, James Wentworth Day, went to interview Countess Granville, the Queen Mother's sister, in 1967, shortly before her death, she simply turned around and said that she was never allowed to discuss this, and her father and grandfather had point-blankly banned them from discussing it.
If a society is strongly believing that curse can affect you, then it must, by its very nature, affect. You can't escape it. You give in.
Will the curse ever end for the royal family? Or are they destined to eternal tragedy because of the murderous act of one of the Queen Mother's misguided ancestors? Some historians suggest yet another possible reason for the royal curse. At Glamis Castle in 1537, Lady Glamis, the beautiful widow of the 6th Earl, was accused of being a witch. She was burned alive, and ever since her death, strange supernatural phenomena have plagued the castle.
Coming up next, does the cousin of the Loch Ness Monster lurk in the depths of Lake Champlain?
Swings his entire body around and lifts his neck and head out of the water entirely.
I've got the worst cold a human being ever had. I've got a major presentation tomorrow. I've got to rest, and I'm out of NyQuil. I could take these, but I'd still be up all night coughing, which means I'd be a wreck for the presentation, which means I could get fired. But what am I going to do? Go next door like an idiot and ask? Could I borrow a cup of NyQuil?
Once you know what NyQuil can do, nothing else will
With its V6 engine, smooth, quiet ride, and easy front-wheel drive handling, the newest Mercury will, quite frankly, remind you of some cars you've driven before. That's what makes it so different. Introducing Mercury Villager. If it was just another minivan, it wouldn't be a Mercury. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
I could tell something was wrong the minute I saw him coughing. Poor Timmy, he was coming down with a cold.
I'll be right up. Can you get me a tissue?
Mom, could you get us some vapor rub, too?
So I rubbed Vicks Vapor Rub on his chest and his neck. The penetrating vapors work fast to relieve his cough and nasal congestion. So the next morning...
Come on, cough you out here.
Hey, look who's up.
Vicks Vapor Rub. Breathe the vapors. Breathe the relief.
Tonight, L.A. Law's Corbin Burnson is a famous psychic. Make that ex-psychic.
It's easy to foresee somebody's death if you're the killer.
You and Lieutenant Marshak are on a case so mystifying.
This is a clue.
Only a mind reader could predict the outcome. And all new likely suspects next.
Attention, all homeowners. Forecasters say a hard winter is on its way to the mid-state. Are you tired of spending too much on high-energy bills? Hardy Construction Polywood tilt replacement windows can save you big dollars on your energy bills. Call today and they'll pay for your first month's utility bill. The call and the information is free, and operators are standing by. This is a very limited time offer, so call Harding Construction today and start saving money.
Call Collect 868-0520. That's 868-0520.
On a recent special edition of Sightings, we reported on Operation Deep Scan, the latest scientific search for proof of the existence of the Loch Ness Monster. Now, an update on the findings of Operation Deep Scan and information about a lake monster sighted right here in the United States. Operation, the most comprehensive and sophisticated search of Loch Ness to date, did come up with an important new sighting. Using sonar, an unexplained creature of large proportions was tracked through the murky lake for more than 2 miles. Sightings of a similar nature have also occurred in Lake Champlain, along the New York-Vermont border. Recently, increased attention has been focused on the lake after 3 separate eyewitnesses captured video of what they believe is Champ, the Loch Ness Monster's American cousin.
It was a huge black mat. It was just monster. It was scary. It was that big.
Up came the neck and the head, literally like my hand is doing. It turned and it looked at me, and it turned and it went right back down into the water.
He swings his neck around and lifts his tail up, swings his entire body around and lifts his neck and head out of the water entirely. Does a loop and, a whole big arch like this in the water and dives back in.
A sightings investigative team is currently monitoring Lake Champlain. We'll bring you a full updated report of our findings in the coming weeks. Input from viewers is an important part of our sightings investigations. If you videotape or photograph what you believe to be paranormal activity, our sightings investigative team wants to know about it.
To report your sightings, call the Sightings Hotline at 1-900-740-SIGHT. That's 1-900-740-SITE. Each call 75 cents a minute. Average call lasts 2 minutes, and you must be 18 years or older. Again, the Sightings Hotline is 1-900-740-7483.
You're just in time. If you hurry to Red Lobster, you can get one of our 3 new trios. Enjoy it.
Thanks.
Like our seafood trio, sweet snow crab, shrimp, scampi, and broiled fish. It's just $9.99. It's so good. We've also got a big new shrimp trio and a new mixed grill. 3 trios you'll love for just $9.99. So hurry in for something great. Tonight at Red Lobster.
Forget about tug of war with your pantyhose. Nothing's more fitting than Legs Classics.
Nothing beats a great pair of legs.
Cleaning toilets is a lousy job, so I invented 2000 Flushes Blue to help you. It's loaded with detergents, cleans and deodorizes automatically, up to 4 months. Try my 2000 Flushes Blue. Cleans your toilet with every flush.
Oh,
Oh, Jeff, not feeling good, hon. When Jeffrey catches a cold, we see the pediatrician.
I love my pediatrician. He's my dad.
He recommends Dimetap Elixir.
Doctors have recommended the Dimetap brand over 200 million times. It relieves sneezing, nasal congestion, runny noses.
And Jeffrey really likes the great taste.
Doctors recommend Dimetap for their families and yours.
We have a live-in doctor. He recommends Dimetap Elixir.
On the next Sightings, from the newly accessible Russian Republic, startling eyewitness evidence of bizarre extraterrestrial contact. And then, a special update on the Iceman. What ancient secrets has he revealed? On the next Sightings.
Join us next time for new investigations into the unexplained. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.
The world's top wrestlers battle for championship gold on Saturday night's main event, right after Cops. It's a night of crime and punishment, hosted by Al Bundy. Tomorrow, coming up, a renowned psychic is murdered. Who did it, and why didn't he see it coming?
Everything you need for the holidays. All you have to do is add the relatives.
Save room for Grandma's pie.
What a beautiful centerpiece, Martha.
Why, thank you, Rose.
Okay, everybody sing. Over the river and through the woods to Grandma.
Santa's little helpers are shining up some holiday specials at Hayes Mitsubishi.
That's right, Santa. How would you like to have this beautiful new 93 Eclipse as an early present this holiday season? At Hayes Mitsubishi, we're making it easy. For only $97.88 and nothing down, it can be your special holiday gift to yourself. Hayes Mitsubishi does it right.
Oh, we'll donate $25 for every new car sold to Tennessee's children in foster care.
The magic of the season is right here in Nashville. Visit Santa from 10 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 12:30 to 6 on Sundays starting November 20th at the Mall at Green Hills.
The following program deals with controversial subjects. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretations. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight on Sightings, from the Russian Republic, our team of investigators captures startling videotape images and returns with eyewitness evidence of bizarre extraterrestrial contact. Then, is the ghost of Whitechapel a murder victim of London's infamous Jack the Ripper? And can science reanimate the Iceman by cloning? The special update next.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. The defeat of communism in the former Soviet Union has had wide-ranging consequences. For our Sightings investigative team, it has meant unprecedented access to secret documents and exclusive interviews about one of the most controversial UFO sightings in history. In the first of a series of reports from inside Russia, our search for the truth about a mysterious place known as the M Triangle. The Republic of Russia is the heart of the new Commonwealth of Independent States that was once the Soviet Union. On a daily basis, new information is released to the people of this country about the previous government's clandestine activities. One of the most unlikely activities was a well-organized government effort to research UFO phenomena. And today, that activity is spoken about openly at the Russian Space Center, especially by those who have been close to the Russian space program, like former Colonel Marina Popovich.
We are presently standing at the Cosmonaut Training Center of Russia. It is where all the cosmonauts are still trained, even today. Some of the training includes the proper protocol in cosmonauts dealing with UFOs. As a colonel, I used to be a terrible skeptic, but when I see the government programs dealing with UFOs, I can't ignore this evidence. I've seen photos pilots have taken of saucers attacking planes. We're also now aware of recurring landing sites. I have absolutely no doubt that UFOs exist. It is impossible that in a universe this large, that's expanding so quickly, with new stars and planets being formed, that we are a unique planet that sustains life.
A team of Sightings researchers set out to uncover new information about the Soviet government's UFO research efforts. Information that had been long suppressed was coming to light. Even as our investigation began, a guard involved in a routine examination of our credentials was eager to tell us about his own UFO experiences.
1.5 years ago, I was standing guard here at Lenin's tomb in Red Square when I got a message over the radio. There was a UFO flying over Spassky Tower. Come quickly. When I arrived, I looked, but it had gone away. But there was definitely an object hovering above the tower for several minutes, one militiaman said. In the old days, we would be frightened to talk of such things. But today, there is an openness. In fact, there is even a TV show on now about such things.
Once a week, Russians tune their televisions to UFO, Unannounced Visit, one of the most popular programs in the country. It deals with UFO mysteries, and its host is Alexander Myachekov, a respected journalist and ufologist. It was from Alexander that we received our first information about the one UFO story that has captured the imagination of all Russia for the past 3 years.
We have a very interesting and mysterious area around the city of Perm. The incidents that happened in that area are hard to believe, so unbelievable that it is hard to compare that area to any other area of anomaly. That area is called M Triangle. The journalist Pavel Mohartov has been there, and I'll tell you, he had unbelievable experiences there and developed new, almost superhuman abilities after visiting the triangle. It's absolutely fantastic.
We visited with Pavel Mohartov, the journalist who first broke this story of the M Triangle. He's a man with no formal scientific training, but he believes he encountered mysterious forces in the M Triangle zone that gave him new abilities and knowledge, the knowledge that would eventually lead him to the Russian space program.
I grew up a slight man. My health was never good. I was even kicked out of the Russian military because I was too frail.
This one here is proof that he was discharged from the army for health reasons.
After I was discharged from the military, I worked for a newspaper as a reporter. I started reading letters about the M Triangle zone.
He found documents in the archives that one of the KGB agents started to write reports to his superiors that strange phenomena started to appear.
There were many UFO sightings, sudden insanity, and dangerous levels of radiation. My editor sent me there to cover the story. Wild feelings came over me, strange photos were taken, and many in the group fell ill.
These are the photos taken at night. That's what they saw during the night, flying and hovering above them.
For me, the M Triangle story is good. I developed great knowledge about aerospace and about physics, and my health improved. I quit the newspaper and was immediately accepted into the Soviet space program. The M Triangle changed my life. I am no longer slight. Now, I am a cosmonaut.
The M Triangle is an area considered to be a hotbed of UFO activity. It is located in a remote area 600 miles east of Moscow in the Ural Mountains. Eyewitnesses have reported strange craft, mysterious light phenomena, and encounters of the third kind with translucent beings. There are even journals and books devoted to the ongoing sightings in the M Triangle.
When Mohartov first wrote about it, I was skeptical. It was too obvious that everyone who lived in the area saw all this extraterrestrial activity. Many suggest that the area is high in mercury deposits, and this is causing hallucinations. But could it be to the extent that people are seeing signs and letters in the sky? There must be something there.
Before our own sightings investigation at the M Triangle, we stopped at the Commonwealth Ufological Center, a government agency on the outskirts of Moscow dedicated to UFO research.
Each day we process 15 to 20 UFO reports at our offices, including those from the M Triangle. We know of the dangers of this zone, and that science has not been able to establish the truth about UFOs in the zone. But that doesn't rule out the health hazards. My advice to you is to get in and get out of that dangerous zone. It's just not safe.
Working in Russia was made more difficult by the lack of provisions we found available. This is a typical grocery store in Russia during business hours, a grim reminder of the upheaval still going on in the new republics. There may be a free market now, but red cabbage is still too expensive for most shoppers. The harsh conditions bear silent witness to the character of the Russian people who endure this hardship on a daily basis. After a 2.5-hour jet flight into the Ural Mountains, the research team flew an additional 90 minutes by helicopter. We agreed to comply with the government's request that we remain in the M Triangle for 24 hours only. The government warned us of dangers there. People who had reportedly gone mad, lost their eyesight, or disappeared completely. We first landed in a small village just outside the M Triangle to see if we could find eyewitnesses to the bizarre phenomena in the region. What we found was a village out of the 1890s with people who told stories right out of Star Wars.
I was walking my grandmother home when we both saw a red flash coming from that zone. Lots of my friends have seen that too.
Mysterious things that fly in the sky here are common. I don't even listen anymore to such old news.
I've seen these saucers numerous times. To say that they are nonsense is nonsense. We know what we see.
We found no one who had been adversely affected by the reported paranormal activity. We then proceeded on the final leg of our journey into the M Triangle, accompanied by Emil Bakurin, ufologist and author of the Russian bestseller UFOs, Explanation of the Unexplained.
I've written a book about the zone because there have been so many strange experiences here by believers and skeptics alike. Near our tent, one group saw translucent fireballs that chased them into the woods and burned them seriously. Only 17 meters from here, a glowing object stunned a research group. One of the men later committed suicide. We often see groups of UFOs fly past this field. Sometimes they disappear, sometimes they land and leave radiation.
The UFOs sighted here have yet to be fully explained. The strange light phenomena, however, are thought to be the result of geomagnetic anomalies evident in the area, known to scientists as lightning balls.
We've used very sensitive equipment that measures and reacts to electricity in a battery from as far as 100 meters. But the same piece of measuring equipment wouldn't react to those energetic balls that we've observed. Therefore, we conclude that the energy is not of an electromagnetic nature.
The light phenomena are best seen at night. Our investigative team brought special night vision cameras, and after several hours, they photographed what can only be described as startling.
George, should we see a satellite? What do you think that was?
No, a satellite cannot do this like this.
What was it?
I don't know. It cannot do the trajectories like this in the sky, like this, and like this.
The strange streak of light never reappeared. A frame-by-frame analysis offers more detail, but gives little insight into its origin. It may have been a shooting star or a satellite. However, there is little debate among the Russian UFO community that something beyond rational explanation is occurring in this remote region. And there is no better proof than Pavel Mohartov, the man who claims he gained secret knowledge that transformed him from journalist to cosmonaut number 152 after visiting the M Triangle. Most of the people we talked with in Russia believe UFOs are operating in the M Triangle. However, off the record, a few scientists offered another possibility. They claim that the Soviet government has been secretly testing a new breed of weapons called psychotronic weapons that immobilize an enemy by creating realistic mass hallucinations. They suggest that eyewitnesses in the M Triangle may have actually seen something that wasn't really there, because they were unwitting participants in a top-secret military experiment.
Coming up, our ghost investigators uncover an apparition haunting Whitechapel, London.
It was just something I couldn't explain, but it was frightening.
Was she a victim of Jack the Ripper?
Sightings is brought to you by Cool Whip Whip Topping. Cool Whip's the one that makes everything so whip-smacking, lip-smacking good. Cool Whip.
What makes everything so whip-smacking, lip-smacking, good? Cool Whip's the one, that creamy taste. Cool Whip's the one.
Today they ran my legs off. Thought my knees would buckle. I think these helped. I felt these little things, these wonderful little of energy spurring me on. They feel like lead.
Legs sheer energy pantyhose. You got it, or you don't.
I'm wearing them tomorrow.
I think kids today need to learn responsibility. Mine have dish night, and they do a great job. So there's no food like little tomato seeds left stuck on the plate. They always pre-rinse, and they never overload.
No matter who does the dishes, Cascade does the dirty work. Dishes washed without sheeting action are left looking dirty, but Cascade with sheeting action gets them so clean they're virtually spotless.
Perfect. Every night should be dish night.
Catch the 1992 Billboard Music Awards live Wednesday, December 9th.
You can't imagine the terror of being caught inside a tornado until you experience it for yourself. An all-new Code 3 After Cops Saturday.
Blaine and Antoine are cooking up something special for Thanksgiving.
Smack it, flip it, rub it down.
Damon Wayans returns on an all-new 1 hour in living color Sunday.
The 10 Bells is a pub in Whitechapel at the East End of London. Haunting phenomena have been reported there for the past 100 years. During our own investigation at the 10 Bells, we uncovered evidence that the paranormal activity there may very well be related to a notorious murderer who has never been found. The 10 Bells has been a favorite meeting place in London's Whitechapel district since 1754. And for the past 100 years, it has also been a favorite haunt for ghostly apparitions, spotted by owners and customers alike.
It was just something I couldn't explain, but it was frightening.
Haunting is a form of communication.
We first brought our investigation into the pub's dank cellar, where many people have experienced haunting phenomena and apparitions. Sightings asked renowned psychic investigator Marion Dampier-Jeans to record her impressions at the 10 Bells.
There's quite, if you like, a bit of a tragic sort of place, but spirits are definitely in here.
This is the door that we can hear banging during the night, and you kind of get a funny kind of feeling of presence.
And I know that spirits have showed themselves to landlords who's been here.
So on a number of occasions we heard footsteps. We come upstairs here and we find nothing.
And I just feel totally, completely distant. The whole atmosphere here is very different. It's very disturbing, if you like.
About 5 months ago, I was here managing the bar. After about 8 or 9 days here, I went down to the cellar. When I got down to the bottom of the stairs, I went over to the right. Very briefly, I got a glimpse of a woman in sort of old-style clothes.
I think she comes to what is known as the old grounds, where she might have been, where she might have existed.
It gave me just as much a fright, you know, really frightened, I've got to be honest.
I would say she's from about 1856, 18-something, 60, whatever. It's around that era I'm in.
She's been spotted downstairs numerous occasions by previous managers.
I still feel that there was a murder committed, but again, you know, I'm not quite sure who did the murder or why the murder was taking shape or place.
This place used to be frequently used by the ladies of the night, going back to Jack the Ripper's time.
Young lady, 5'2" tall, she said lives.
It's been proved that Elizabeth Stride did drink here.
Marion had provided an important clue to the identity of at least one apparition, the name Liz. And indeed, Elizabeth Stride, a prostitute, was a frequent customer here in the late 1800s. On September the 30th, 1888, Stride, known as Long Liz, was the third victim of Jack the Ripper. Could it be her restless spirit that haunts the 10 Bells today? Our psychic investigator believes so, but we also called in scientific investigator Tony Cornell for his opinion.
I mean, people in poltergeist cases and hauntings, they see things and hear things. Now, that's okay for them. It's real to them. But for it to be real to us, we want it on film.
We set out to try to film the haunting phenomena, but our camera operator was stymied.
As we came into this little room we are in now, the recording fault in the viewfinder was going berserk, is the best way to describe it. And so we've now come in here again to play it back, and we just started up, and yes, it's still showing strangely in the viewfinder.
Psychic investigator Nella Jones has worked with Scotland Yard on a number of cases. We asked her to walk through Whitechapel to see if she felt a psychic connection between the hauntings and Jack the Ripper. We also brought in Don Rumbelow, Ripper historian and the owner of one of the alleged murder weapons.
I'm pleased to have possession of it, but I don't know about proud. I mean, it's such a macabre weapon.
This is definitely the place. I would stake my reputation on that.
It has a thumb grip on the blade for cutting upwards. This is how you can tell that it's different from other knives of the period. Well, if Nella felt something here, there's a very good reason for it, because this is where the body of the first of Jack the Ripper's victims was found on the night of the 31st of August, 1888.
Claiming no knowledge of where the murders had occurred, Nella led us to this site, but would not work with Rumbelow's knife.
Take it back, please. I don't want to know. I don't want to know about that. But if they could feel what I feel when I touch that, they wouldn't even want to look at it.
Documents, letters of the time, contemporary memoirs. This is evidence. Using, with due respect to Nella, using a psychic is not proof.
What's new in this case is really what's old.
It was author and historian Paul Begg who was finally able to shed some new light on this dark subject.
30th of September 1888 was the night of the double event when Jack the Ripper killed 2 women within an hour. The first of those murders took place along this street.
In fact, a street not far from the 10 Bells pub.
It's an interesting case because it's the one instance where we probably have a witness to Jack the Ripper in action. A man named Israel Schwartz was walking down the road. In front of him was another man, and ahead of both of them, standing in the entrance to a yard, was a woman. And as the second man approached, he attacked and assaulted the woman and threw her to the ground. Israel Schwartz probably saw Jack the Ripper committing his crime, murdering Elizabeth Stride, who was found dead in the alleyway about 15 minutes later.
Because there was a witness, the murder of Elizabeth Stride was key to Scotland Yard's investigation.
The most important piece of information that's come to light in the last couple of years is what we call the Swanson marginalia. And these notes were written by a man called Swanson, who had overall responsibility for the investigation of the crimes. And in those penciled notes, he names Jack the Ripper. He says that the Ripper was a man called Kosminski. If the police at the time were right, and if we've understood the information that we've got correctly, Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper.
Our ghost investigation at the 10 Bells, near the site of Elizabeth Stride's murder, poses intriguing new questions about the identity of Jack the Ripper. Foremost, is the ghost of Long Liz trying to communicate some important clues? Is she trying to add her voice to those who believe Eric Kosminski is the bloody murderer known as Jack the Ripper? And if police believed Kosminski was the Ripper, why wasn't he arrested?
Now, because Aaron Kosminski had never been tried, had never been convicted, they were not able to release that information to the public. And that's why this has always remained a mystery.
While Eric Kosminski is considered a prime suspect, Scotland Yard still holds files on 2 additional men they believe could be the real Jack the Ripper. But will we ever know for sure? Some psychics answer yes, and suggest we listen more carefully to the ghostly presence in London's East End.
Coming up, can science bring the Iceman back to life through cloning?
The idea of cloning human beings is an interesting one.
A special update next.
Now, for sinus sufferers, the makers of full prescription strength Actifed introduce new Actifed Sinus, daytime, nighttime. The only sinus relief system that makes it simple to treat sinus pain right, day and night. The daytime formula breaks up sinus congestion so you can breathe without making you drowsy. The nighttime formula is maximum strength so you can rest.
Your sinus is better?
Yeah.
New Actifed Sinus, daytime, nighttime. Treat sinus pain right, day and night.
Ow! Doesn't anyone sit down to a good hot breakfast anymore? When I was a boy, we'd gather round the table for some nice warm cream of wheat. People actually talked to each other, discussed plans for the day. Nowadays, everything is rush, rush, rush.
So, Grandpa, what's your plan for the day?
Why start out with cold cereal when you can have the warmth of cream of wheat in an instant? Now try new cinnamon toast.
Toothpaste to me was basically boring. I used the same stuff for 15 years. And then my daughter brought home Arm & Hammer dental care gel from a slumber party. And what a wonderful feeling. My teeth felt fresh, clean from the dentist, and my mouth felt so healthy. And then I read more dentists recommend Arm & Hammer than any other baking soda toothpaste to help promote healthy teeth and gums. I still see my dentist twice a year, but now I get that fresh from the dentist feeling twice a day. All of a sudden, toothpaste isn't boring anymore.
Get Arm & Hammer dental care for that healthy, fresh from the dentist feeling of clean.
The most daring and death-defying stuntmen on Earth are women.
The most fun I ever had with my clothes.
Cindy Crawford hosts Stunt Women World Tour, Sunday at 7, 6 Central. Tonight, dating show studs, phone sex girls.
My clothes feel so tight.
Killer bees.
Help me! Somebody help me!
And rosebud tattoos.
Are they enough to kill for?
This case has it all.
Dating in the 90s. It's murder.
And all new likely suspects coming up next.
They're frantically marking down prices at the Lohan Furniture Building. Luxurious sofas are $199. Deluxe rocker recliners with handle are $199. Living room tables are $19. At the Lohan Building, 6-piece oak dining rooms are $499. 5-piece dinettes are $89. Black lacquer or white lacquer 4-piece bedrooms are $299. And bunk beds are $69. This sale is at the Lohan Furniture Building, 1 block off I-65 at the Jefferson Street exit, Nashville.
The discovery in 1991 of a remarkably preserved human, thought to be more than 5,000 years old, has captured the attention of scientists around the world. Dubbed the Iceman, archaeologists are studying his remains. Anthropologists are learning more about his behavior. And genetic engineers want the Iceman for experiments in cloning.
He is considered by many to be the most important archaeological discovery of all time. A unique window to what we were like 1,000 years before the pyramids were built. He's called the Iceman, a miraculously preserved human specimen who froze to death over 5,000 years ago and literally remained on ice until his discovery last year in the Italian Alps. Unlike mummies and other bodies found after burial, the Iceman was flash frozen as he lived, resulting in a kind of ancient snapshot of the late Stone Age.
He doesn't look quite so dead. He's still got the flesh on him. The pores of the skin are there. The fingernails are there. Even his eyes are there. He happened to freeze with his eyelid open, and you can see this cloudy eyeball kind of glistening just inside his head.
Actually seeing this frozen man from the distant past has inspired many to consider what science could do to bring him back to life through cloning techniques, which have proven successful in frogs.
Frogs were cloned, and they were all identical extuplets of the original frog that was cloned. But that frog was a tadpole, and when you try to clone the adult stage of that same frog, nobody could do it. Something happens to the cells, to the DNA, that makes them unclonable.
The idea of cloning human beings is an interesting one, but it's a largely theoretical concept at this juncture.
But theoretical concepts, science fiction to some, often become science fact. So what could we expect if cloning experiments with the Iceman are successful?
You could take those genes, put them in the ovum from a woman, implant that in her uterus, and it would grow up and it would be essentially the identical twin of the Iceman. Unfortunately, he would not know a thing about life in the late Neolithic.
Cloning the Iceman's body may become a future reality, but cloning his mind and the memories it contains is likely to remain the ultimate scientific puzzle.
Input from viewers is an important part of our sightings investigations. If you videotape or photograph what you believe to be paranormal activity, our sightings investigative team wants to know about it.
To report your sightings, call 1-900-740-SIGHT. Each call 75 cents a minute. Average call lasts 2 minutes, and you must be 18 years or older. Again, the sightings hotline is 1-900-740-7483.
Until the captain yells abandon ship on Married with Children. Then, George Carlin volunteers for a scientific experiment that gets him into hot water on The George Carlin Show. Tonight on Fox.
Al's looking for a new job.
Maybe I should have gone into my father's line of work.
They have automatic pin setters now.
Monday at 11 on Fox 25.
On this edition of Sightings, in the 1950s, was the USS Franklin Delano Roosevelt the object of extraterrestrial observation?
It looked like a star, but was much brighter, so it disappeared into the moonlight.
Then, a Sightings exclusive. Our Heartland ghost investigation continues. A family is forced from their home by a violent spirit.
Something's going on in that house. It's strange activity.
Plus, a psychic leads twin sisters to the family they never knew.
The minute she came to the motel where we were staying and walked in the door, it was just as if we'd always known her.
And a terrifying past life memory forces this woman to relive the horrors of the Holocaust.
I kept having this image of being in this other woman's body that I just lost my mind.
Later, are extraterrestrials time travelers from our own future?
Extraterrestrials manipulate the fabric of space and time.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. In 1952, military personnel stood together on the deck of a Navy flagship, the USS F.D.R., and watched as a disc-shaped UFO hovered above them. 3 photographs were taken, and this sighting was just the first of many reported aboard the ship. Despite vehement denials from the Navy, many people who served on the USS F.D.R. believe that she was a UFO magnet.
Sometime in late July, early August of 1952, as an ensign, I saw a bright light at the forward of the bow on the right-hand side, which would be the starboard side.
The ship was on a shakedown cruise near Gitmo, Cuba. And I was down below decks. It was maybe approximately 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, I think it was. And this buddy of mine, Vince, who's seen a bunch of men coming from the engine room compartment running up topside on a ladder, said, "Red, why don't you go up there and see what's going on?" So I followed these guys up 3 or 4 decks up to the flight deck, and we were watching this little object, like a light, that was following our ship. And then it came out of the sky at us.
My friends called me to come outside, and we observed a bright light quite high in the sky. It looked like a star, but was much brighter. The light tracked at a high speed and came to a stop, altered direction, and accelerated to a high speed, stopped again, and it proceeded across the sky in this manner until it disappeared into the moonlight.
These 3 men, Robert Coburn, Chester Gruzinski, and John Lawrence, all served on the USS F.D.R. But each man was assigned to the ship on different tours, in different years, and with different jobs. And yet each man saw the same thing sometime during his service, an unidentified flying object tracking the Navy aircraft carrier through the sky. Others stood with them and witnessed the same events, which occurred over a 10-year period. But there is no record of any sightings in the ship's logs, and attempts to find other eyewitnesses have failed.
I know that during September of '52, there were a series of incidents during Operation Main Brace, which was a series of naval maneuvers, military maneuvers with other countries. And during those maneuvers, there were a number of UFO incidents reported. One occurring in connection with a fighter jet, which had been followed by an unidentified flying object.
Barry Greenwood is the research director of CAUSE, Citizens Against UFO Secrecy. He is also the co-author of the UFO Cover-Up. Greenwood has collected photographs of UFOs taken in 1952 from the deck of the flagship for Operation Main Brace. They were taken aboard the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt.
On September 20th, a newspaper reporter was on the flight deck of the carrier. He had a color camera with him, and he said he turned down the flight deck and noticed a group of guys looking up into the sky. He ran down there and noticed a large spherical object hanging in the air. Everybody was looking at it, so he had his camera. He decided to take some shots. And when he ran the exposures, he said the object accelerated, took off at high speed, disappeared. They thought it was a balloon initially. So the brass called the various other ships in the area, asked about a balloon. Nobody launched a balloon. Nobody knows anything about it. They listed it as an unknown. Possible balloon, but nobody knows where it came from.
No, it's quite obvious that we had seen something. We don't know what it was. We knew that it couldn't be an airplane because an airplane could not start and stop. The rate of speed was too high, too fast for a helicopter, and it was too erratic a pattern track for a weather balloon.
Leon Treadwell also served on the USS F.D.R. in the 1950s. He recalls a UFO encounter he witnessed, along with several other men, while on anchor watch in Rio de Janeiro.
2 ships, or appeared to be ships, one above the other, maybe about 200 or 300 feet separated the 2 of them, and counter-rotating lights. And all of a sudden a fireball dropped between the upper ship to the lower ship. Nobody knew what the devil was going on. There was actual radar contact on these vehicles.
This painting depicts what Leon claims he and several other sailors saw on board the USS F.D.R. that night.
Several officers And these are representatives of divisional departments. They couldn't believe what they were looking at. Everybody signed a release statement that nobody outside of CIC would say anything about this for at least 15 to 20 years.
The CIC, the Combat Information Center, is master control for any Navy aircraft carrier. Here is where radar, mapping, target searches, and operations are conducted.
We were just told to not say anything about this to anybody outside of Combat Information Center.
The commander down in Virginia, when I was discussing this with him, he was on a ship, he told me that I wasn't even supposed to mention this. I just ignored what he said. It's one of my desires in life is to find these other witnesses that were up on that flight deck with me witnessing this object as it came on top of the ship. There are a lot of times I wish that this would have never happened because all the aggravation has caused me. I had people that laughed and said they wouldn't believe me. Really? Yeah, I was there. I seen it. You weren't there. You don't know. You don't know what it was like.
But why would an unidentified flying object of this Earth or any other spend nearly a decade tailing this particular ship? Crewmen claim that the F.D.R. carried advanced nuclear weaponry that was supposedly top secret.
The sighting was well known to insiders in the government at the time. It was written about by the head of Project Blue Book after he retired from the military, and he described it in great detail.
There's a possibility that our weapons were of a sort that they were interested in. Of course, the carrier carried all kinds of different weapons.
The F.D.R. Was the only aircraft carrier at the time that had thermonuclear capability. It was the only one that was allowed to carry the H-bomb.
We would be the only ship, naturally, that would carry them because we would have the only method of delivering the atomic bombs.
Since World War II, there have been a number of UFO sightings linked to nuclear storage and transport facilities. But these reports remain unsubstantiated, in large part because the government organization best equipped to investigate the sightings, the U.S. military, refuses to do so.
I think they are probably covering up the incidents with the F.D.R. because they're covering up all incidences of UFO sightings.
I won't rest till I find somebody else that was on that flight deck with me to witness that same thing I did.
The experience of the crew members aboard the USS F.D.R. may not be unique. Sightings is currently conducting an in-depth investigation into charges that UFO confrontations have occurred at 3 different military bases where nuclear weapons are stored. We'll bring you the results of that investigation on a future edition of Sightings.
Next, a Sightings exclusive. A violent spirit continues its assault on a Midwestern family.
It happened so quick.
I'm sitting right here and I didn't see it. It's on my side.
That rat-a-tat-tat celebrating a new day. The way that peach from the farmer's market is mysteriously drawn to it. That crunch waking up your mouth, then your body, then your mind. The natural, nutty, uncompromised taste. That rare feeling of doing something good for yourself and enjoying every last bit. That experience is pure grape nuts.
Every morning I wake up starving. Must be all that dreaming. So I go to Burger King for a croissant sandwich with ham, egg, and cheese, plus hash browns and coffee, all for just $1.99. $1.99? I must still be dreaming.
Breakfast at Burger King.
I'm an eye doctor because I like to help people see better. Lens Crafters does a great job in helping that happen. Can you read that?
Uh-huh.
Good. We provide an extremely thorough eye exam. I always check for glaucoma and cataracts, and with 1 hour service, we can almost immediately see the results of our work. I enjoy the responsibility of seeing the same people year after year. They look at me as being their doctor. That's part of the good feeling you get when you do this type of work.
Lens Crafters, helping people see better, 1 hour at a time.
Oh, look at the sunset.
It's like being in the islands.
So is this.
Kahlua Cafe from General Foods International Coffees.
Delicious. What's this flavor? Kahlua.
I'm imagining tropical breezes.
And endless beaches.
The only after-dinner coffee with the flavor of real Kahlua.
It makes me want to be...
Where?
Right here, right now.
Celebrate the moments of your life.
Kahlua Cafe.
My doctor said I didn't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. They weren't serious. And he used Preparation H. Preparation H is so effective, it helps relieve my worst symptoms. Yet it's so gentle, it soothes and protects. Preparation H. Doctors recommend it. More women trust it.
This is what we know so far. A two-story house built in 1872 sits on a tree-lined street in the Midwest. Inside, many people, including members of our sightings investigative team, have reported feeling anomalous cold spots, eerie contacts with amorphous entities, and inexplicable electrical energy. One man has been plagued by spontaneous bleeding welts that he attributes to a vindictive spirit. What we don't know is why. What is causing this haunting activity in America's heartland?
I could feel it.
How did that happen?
You don't know.
Sally?
Walk in there. Walk in there. Oh, my God. Look. Look. It's forming right there.
I have 2 scratches.
Oh, there it is.
Look at it.
Would it be okay if I sit down first?
Why don't you sit down? Sally?
Sightings viewers have their own theories. The wounds are self-inflicted, an allergic reaction, or psychosomatically induced. The victim, his family, and many visitors here believe the strange phenomena are caused by a vindictive entity in the house, and that is why this family has moved out. But the empty house is still the focus of an ongoing sightings investigation. World-renowned paranormal investigator Kerry Gaynor believes this case deserves the same careful attention he brought to 2 previous cases, the entity and poltergeist cases. With the family gone, Gaynor has a unique opportunity to determine if the source of the ghostly activity is the site or the family. Maurice Schrog is an environmental engineer with the Industrial Compliance and Safety Corporation. He was brought in to search for electromagnetic anomalies, temperature shifts,
Between 25 and 30.
abnormal radiation levels, or unusual levels of radon, carbon monoxide, or other gases. Nothing unusual was picked up. But there were still reports of ghostly activity by many visitors to the home, including the owner, a 20-year veteran of the local police department.
My hand got real cold. I mean, it got real cold. I thought somebody was doing something. I looked back both ways, and I asked everybody in the room if they had felt that. I said, it startled me. It kind of scared me. Did y'all feel that? And I didn't buy any of this. I really didn't. Until that happened. It happened. And we had felt the room temperature go out, which I figured was a draft in the room. But when it touched me, that was not a draft. Something's going on in that house. It's strange activity. What it is, I don't know.
And so far, scientific equipment has failed to come up with the answer.
We thought we might find something as we took several different kinds of measurements, and we found basically that the readings were no significant deviations.
The lack of scientific evidence in the face of so many personal experiences convinced the family to seek help of another kind. They asked that an exorcism be performed to rid them of the entity.
We were all holding hands, and at one point, my husband would grip real hard. We were told not to let go. Don't break the circle. And he just held on real tight because he was in such pain. It was odd because he's never really felt the pain before. But afterwards, we found out that he had been swiped at with a hand across his back on 3 separate occasions that left, I think it was 11 scratches right across the center upper portion of his back, his shoulder area.
These are the scratches that materialized during that exorcism. And as long as the family stayed away from the house, the scratches didn't return. But during our investigation and an online computer forum with sightings viewers, the family dropped in unexpectedly. And within minutes, so did Sally.
Whoa! So did you feel it here or down here? Where did you feel it?
Kind of like all across here.
Oh, the whole face?
Yeah.
First, a scratch appeared on his face. Then, moments later, deeper cuts appeared on his back.
You physically felt that?
Yeah, that hurt.
Describe to me again what you felt.
This sharp thing felt like somebody stabbing something in my back.
You okay?
Yeah.
Still hurt?
No.
We set up additional cameras and monitoring equipment, hoping to capture any further scratching episodes. It was while we were setting up that the victim, who had always wished to remain anonymous, told us he wanted to reveal his true identity.
Sightings has made a habit of coming back to visit you. During that time, you asked them to disguise your appearance. Now you're finally allowing them to use your appearance. What changed for you?
Well, it's something that me and my wife we talked about a lot, and it's a pretty religious town, and I didn't know what kind of feedback we'd get from this type of situation. The more we've talked about it, and since we have been on television a few times, and we've been getting some pretty positive feedback. I mean, the people have accepted it really well.
So people aren't ridiculing you as much
no,
like
I mean,
you thought they might?
We get our taunts every once in a while, or somebody will, you know, say something, but it's something that you just, I know what's happening, and my wife knows what's happening, and that's what's important to me.
Now here's a new one right now. Right now. Right here. Brand new. Can anyone get closer?
Yeah, we're pretty close.
I'm sitting right here and I didn't see it.
It's on your side, yeah.
It's on my side. I'm sitting right next to you. This scratch right here, all the way down to here, was not on your face when we came in because we saw this one here. We examined your face, your stomach, your back. Your hands are right here in full view of the camera and in full view of all of us. If one of those hands had gone to your face, I would have seen it. It would have been on that camera. This is truly incredible. Truly incredible. This happened right here, right this moment as we were talking. If this were true, typical poltergeist phenomena, it would follow Tony to his new home. Now, he's only been in his new home a month, so it's still a little bit too early to make that kind of judgment yet. The story's not complete here. We've got a lot more work to do.
Sightings will continue to investigate this groundbreaking case. New tenants are set to move into the house. We'll monitor their experiences and also follow Pam and Jeff into their new home to determine if it is the house or the people who are the focus of this haunting.
Coming up next, a psychic reunites twin sisters with their lost family.
It was just as if we'd always known her. There was no strangeness. We just felt she was our sister.
Some things in life would be a lot more fun if they came in lots of colors instead of one. Lots of colors are more fun than one. Trix yogurt is full of fun.
The fruity flavors will flip your lid.
Trix yogurt is just for kids.
Kid figures. Now, free on Cups of Trix Yogurt is a new mini comic book. Well, it's small on size. It's big on fun. You can collect all three.
Inside this precious package is the photo and personal history of an actual, living, breathing, wonderful child who urgently needs your love. Hello, I'm Walter Kopich for Children International. Sponsorship is the most loving, personal way to help a needy child overseas. And I want to send you this kit absolutely free and with no obligation so you can see for yourself one little boy or little girl waiting to be sponsored. You'll get to know that child and find out if sponsorship is for you. You're not obligated, so call for your free kit now. Tell us if you prefer a boy or a girl, and you may choose your child's country. We'll select an individual child especially for you and rush you her photo and personal history, information about her country, answers to your questions, and more. Just look at this little child who lives in poverty in the Philippines. She needs nutritious food and medical care. This little boy struggles to survive in a disease-infested slum. Here's a child from the Dominican Republic, and this little girl desperately needs a chance to go to school. Won't you call now? This isn't some abstract concept like millions of starving children. This is a real child, and you will hold his picture and learn how you can change his life. Later, if you decide to become a sponsor, your monthly gift is only $12, and you'll get letters from your child, updated photos, and more. This affordable $12 program is possible because we look for ways to keep costs down without sacrificing the care your child receives. But this precious package is free, and there's no obligation. So call now for the photo and case history of one little child who needs you. Call 1-800-848-2500. That's 1-800-848-2500.
Since they were born, Alice Heck and Agnes Nash have shared a special, some would say, psychic bond. Their lives have followed parallel paths. They finish each other's sentences. If one of them is hurt, the other feels pain. It's behavior typical of identical twins, and that's how Alice and Agnes have always explained it. But when they were 51 years old, their mother revealed that Alice and Agnes were not twins.
Alice and Agnes were born in 1926. They share the same likeness, the same birthday, and a powerful mental bond.
We're exact, identical, mirror twins with hypertelepathy, which means it's almost like a form of psychic. I can see in my mind what she's doing. She can see in her mind what I'm doing. I can always tell you what she's wearing. She can always tell you what I'm wearing. If I go to the store to buy something, she can see in her mind what I'm buying. She'll go to the store and buy the same dang thing. When she went through labor, I went through the whole thing with her, and when I had my twins, she went through it with me.
The girls grew up in Rochester, New York, and for 51 years, they believed they were identical twins, until the day their mother shared a long-hidden family secret.
My mother told me when we were 51 years old, about 2 months before she died. She called us to her house, and she says, I've got something to tell you. I don't know how you're going to take it.
And she said, I realize that I do not have too much longer to live. She knew she was very, very sick. And she said, I think you better sit down.
We both more or less said, what is it, Ma? And she says, well, you've always thought you were identical twins. Well, we are. No, you're not. You have 2 more. You are quads. There are 4 of you.
And she said there were 4 of us, that she had seen the 4, that the 2 were taken at birth.
Their mother died before Alice and Agnes could find out their missing siblings' names, addresses, or even if they were boys or girls. For the next 17 years, they sought help from private detectives, adoption agencies, and law enforcement. Nothing worked, until they asked a psychic for help.
During the reading, what I picked up most importantly was the sister's name right away. It just flowed right out of me. But also a sense of sadness that their sister would really be reluctant about meeting up with them and connecting with them.
Sandra also told Alice and Agnes that they would discover the whereabouts of this missing sister on Father's Day and meet her in the summer. Just 1 month after the psychic reading, during an appearance on a TV talk show, the connection was made. A little boy was watching that show and noticed a striking family resemblance.
And that's when the grandson of our new sister saw us and thought we looked like his grandmother, and that's how this all started.
That sister had also been looking for her birth family. She contacted Alice and Agnes on Father's Day and met them that same summer, just as the psychic had predicted.
The minute she came to the motel where we were staying and walked in the door, it was just as if we'd always known her. There was no strangeness. We just felt she was our sister, and that was it.
The twins were now triplets. And as they began to learn more and more about their separate lives, they discovered a number of eerie similarities, although they had grown up miles apart in different families.
Some of the similarities have been that she has a son and daughter, Mark and Maureen. I have a son and daughter, Mark and Maureen. Her daughter, Maureen, was born July 12, 1952. My son, Jimmy, was born July 12, 1952.
I lost twin girls back in 1960. And her one child, boy, was born the same day that I lost the twin girls, October the 3rd.
There is another similarity that's a very marked one. My sister was married the year before I was the new sister. And when we got married, she bought her gown in her hometown at a specialty shop. I bought my gown here in Rochester in a specialty shop. She had hers altered, and so did I, with seat pearls in the neckline. Our headpieces were almost identical.
Baptismal records support Alice and Agnes's belief that this is their sister. But as the psychic predicted, the long-lost sister isn't ready to accept this new family.
She is still looking for a paper trail. I guess it's overwhelmed her, according to what she says. She doesn't want her name used or anything right now. But she admits to us that she knows in her heart that she is our sister. So now we're leaving it up to her.
While Alice and Agnes work on building a relationship with their sister, there is still a hole to be filled. There is yet another sibling out there somewhere, and psychic Sandra Sanfilippo believes it is a brother.
I hope that we do find him. He would be 68 years old. He might look like us. He may have dark. Our hair is naturally dark. He might have gray hair because it's also gray hair in the family. His birthday should be April the 6th, 1926.
Alice and Agnes are confident in Sandra's psychic vision. They will search until they find the brother who can complete their family portrait.
Well, the most that we want to get out of this whole thing is to get the four of us together so that we can all love one another and be there for one another in thickness and in thin, no matter what the future might bring.
Because if they are in pain or need,
we want to be there.
We want to be there. I want to know that they're going to be all right.
Alice and Agnes continue to search for the brother that they believe is out there somewhere. It's a reunion we hope to share with you on an upcoming edition of Sightings.
Next, a terrifying past life memory forces this woman to relive the horrors of the Holocaust. Then, have scientists found a link between alien visitation and time travel? And a psychic finds clues to a murder through dreams.
I smoke, but when I'm shopping, it's not part of the bargain. So I bought into something else. Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. It has a cool, clean taste I can take anywhere I shop. So when I can't smoke, I bring along pure chewing satisfaction.
Last week we thought we had a 24-hour bug.
But we may have had a mild case of salmonella poisoning.
They came from bacteria, which was spread around our kitchen to other foods.
Now we use Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner. As it cleans, it kills the bacteria and keeps them from spreading.
Which may help keep us from getting sick. Get Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner.
Clear a completely clogged drain without a snake. Get real.
Get the real power of professional strength Lysol drain opener. Real power.
What a night! The Burger King opening night party for Disney's Pocahontas. Now in theaters. What'd you think? I loved it. Non-stop action. Excellent adventure. Only Pocahontas has it all. Only Burger King lets your kids relive the magic of Pocahontas with these 8 action toys. They get one with each Pocahontas Kids Club hamburger meal for just $1.99. Personally, I found Percy's performance especially moving.
Burger King, get your burger's worth.
Centrum? I just feel better knowing I'm taking it.
Centrum's complete. Every time a vitamin makes news, I check my Centrum label, and Centrum's got it.
It's Centrum's commitment to ongoing research that ensures you always get the best nutritional support. A more advanced multivitamin. Centrum, always more complete than any leading brand.
The Centrum people thought of everything.
Like they say, from A to zinc.
Centrum makes a science of being more complete.
I smoke, but at many fast food restaurants, it's not on the menu. So I've got an order of my own, Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. It's got a cool, clean taste that everyone enjoys. So when I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
Reincarnation is the belief that a person's essence, their soul, never dies, but is simply transferred from body to body for eternity. Some people claim that they can recall their past lives. Taylor Sammons believes she is one of those people, and there's one past life she can never forget. Why else would she have vivid memories of her own death in a Nazi concentration camp?
I was sure I was crazy. I was sure that the fact that I kept having this image, this memory of being in this other woman's body, that I just lost my mind.
She was developing some headaches, severe ones. And in going over what was happening with her currently, I wasn't able to come up with any rationale, therapeutic type rationale, that would explain these headaches. Probably the 4th session after the headaches, she showed me some welting. and I couldn't explain that either.
I got tattoos. They were marks on my arm, and they ran all the way up, and they were sore, and you could literally see numbers.
When the therapy began to change based on this new symptomology, I was thinking, oh my God, what is it that's going on here? Something is very different. Very puzzled. I guess I was very puzzled as to where this was all coming from.
And it was as if becoming me, being born in 1957 in Seattle, was a joke. It had never really happened the way it was. And that feeling alone made me crazy.
It was at that point we both agreed to look at some regressive work and see if there was something else going on.
These were the kinds of images that overtook Taylor Sammons when she began regression therapy. The nauseating vision of one regime's attempt to decimate an entire race. And the personal horror of feeling somehow responsible. And Taylor Sammons learned that she was not alone. Rabbi Ionasim Gershom has uncovered other cases of supposed Holocaust reincarnation and has come to believe that they are real.
Her story is very similar to other stories that I have heard of people having these memories and often having a great deal of guilt, a great deal of pain.
Through past life regression therapy, Taylor came to believe that she was once Catherine, a German Jew born in 1914, and that her death occurred in the German concentration camp known as Buchenwald.
In looking at the genuineness of the memories of Catherine, I believed, and I still believe today, that they were very genuine. And what would happen would be that we would sit down and start the regressive process. And Taylor then would start to lose her sense of self right there, and Catherine would emerge. And Catherine would start talking about events that she was struggling with and things that have happened in her life, some very traumatic, very traumatic. And these were the kinds of things that Taylor, throughout the years of knowing her therapeutically, I don't believe she could have known at all, nor could she have prefabricated in a regressive state.
Among her past life memories was the name of a town, Lunenburg, where Taylor believes Catherine once lived. It is among the remembrances she has chronicled in her therapy journal.
I lived in a village before we lived in the city. To tell you the name of the city, I want to say Lunenburg. I think this is the town square where nice things went on at first, and these were like buildings. These were the tops of buildings. They were rounded and they had something up here. I remember cobblestone roads. I remember, because I've never seen those.
The obscure German town of Lunenburg actually does exist. It is known for its unique architecture, beautiful cobblestone streets and marketplace. There is a fountain in the middle of the square. These uncanny coincidences led Taylor to explore her memories further with renowned past life therapist Frank Baranowski. Together, they uncovered more details of Catherine's life. She had 2 children and was pregnant when she was arrested.
And this is the time when she feels like the children can't go to a concentration camp, and she decides to take their life.
My children were 5 and under 2, and then the baby was born in the camp. I killed my daughter first. I suffocated her. And then I remember straightening her out like she was a little teddy bear, like she wasn't a person, a doll. And my son, I went to the chair, the rocker, and held him. Put my hand over his eyes. Held the knife. And I think he thought we were playing.
Taylor believes it is the shame and guilt of Catherine that still lives within her today. At the suggestion of Sightings, Taylor agreed to consult with Dr. Brian Weiss, a psychiatrist who has studied past life regression extensively.
Let your breathing take you deeper. You're already very, very peaceful and relaxed. You'll be able to go deeper than you have before. In this state, the memory is very enhanced. You can remember everything. This is for your experience. This is to help you. That's the most important part.
After 2 days of intensive therapy with Dr. Weiss, Taylor began to relive even more of the life and death of Catherine.
We are going. They're on the train.
What is it like on this train?
The others are singing and praying. And it's dark. And it's crowded and there's children.
Do you know where this train is going? Where is it going?
Buchenwald.
To Buchenwald?
Buchenwald, yes.
This is all important to remember and then to let it go. You can go in. You know you're safe now.
During the sessions, Taylor had vivid memories of life in the Buchenwald camp. She had visions of medical experiments being performed against her will, experiments which ultimately killed her.
Go to the end of that life, that last day of her life, and let's see what happens. Can you see your body? What does it look like?
It is very thin. The breast is missing. I think the arm is missing.
An arm?
And there's sewing in the stomach, and it's just thin.
Okay, let's leave this all together now.
During another session with Dr. Weiss, Taylor had recalled the last name Leibowitz, possibly a family name. As part of the healing process, Taylor visited the Miami Holocaust Memorial. The images there were hauntingly familiar, and there, on the wall of remembrance, was the name she knew too well. Although agonizing, Taylor's journey through Catherine's life has been a way to heal.
Taylor's story seems similar to many of the cases I've had from the Holocaust in terms of the memories and the details and the emotion. But the remembrance still seems to be very healing, whether they're validated or not validated. People seem to get better, to lose their fears and phobias, to have more joy and happiness in their current lives. This is the important thing to me.
If I let that healing continue, maybe for the first time, I get to really live.
With the new clues she has uncovered in her most recent therapy session, Taylor hopes to locate any living relatives of Catherine and put the past to rest.
Next, will new theories on controlling time and space lead us to alien worlds?
Perhaps in outer space, extraterrestrials may have the capability to open a hole in space.
Move over, Johnny Cochran, and get ready for Lou Frschetti.
Hey, Judge, how's it aim?
Monday at 9 on Fox 25.
Taking a bite out of crime one day at a time, Lowell sets a crime-free standard. Planes destroyed Belmont's middle school, and the slickest drivers around put the pedal to the metal at the Magic Mile. I'm Craig Treadway. Those stories tonight on Fox 25 News at 10.
The average person takes about 18,000 steps a day. If too many of yours are between the couch and the fridge, here's a step you should take immediately.
Turn on your life. Call Bally Total Fitness now during our off-season and get the lowest price of the year.
Hey, it's the off-season at Bally Total Fitness when things slow down and we have our big off-season sale with the absolute lowest price of the year. So call 1-800-FITNESS today and turn on your life. But hurry, this off-season sale won't be on long.
I'm here in this auto graveyard to demonstrate New Finish, the once-a-year car polish. Simply wipe it on and wipe it off. There's no rubbing, no buffing. Look how New Finish restored a deep, hard shine to even this weather-beaten old car. You see, New Finish is not a wax. It's a space-age polymer formula that shines better and lasts longer.
And here's proof. An independent laboratory tested New Finish against several leading brands of car polish. After simulating a full year of varying weather, New Finish had the highest gloss and actually retained 90% of its original shine.
Next, we polished this car with new finish and ran it through 52 car washes. After all the harsh detergents and scrubbing, the water still beads. You'll find new finish is great for fiberglass boats, too. So get new finish, the once-a-year car polish. And between polishings, use new finish car wash to clean your car.
New Finish Liquid rated #1 by leading consumer magazines. Available at Walgreens, Caldor, Ames, Woolworth, Rich's, Osco, Benny's, Bradley's, and Kmart.
You know, we don't eat alphabets because they taste good. We don't? No, we eat alphabets because they have no artificial flavors and all kinds of vitamins. Vitamins like A. A tastes good. And B. B's good too. And X. Vitamin X. Mom, tell Sarah there's no vitamin X. I know, I ate it.
Alphabets, wholesome fun from A to Z.
H.G. Wells had the time machine. Sherman and Mr. Peabody had the Wayback Machine. And Michael J. Fox had a DeLorean. The fantasy of time travel is one of the most popular themes in science fiction. And now a tantalizing new theory suggests that time travel could someday be science fact.
When time travel becomes possible, it will not be the kind of vehicle that's important, but rather the discovery of an interdimensional shortcut. In these scenes from Star Trek, the shortcut is a cosmic anomaly called a wormhole.
We might have just discovered the first stable wormhole known to exist. Bring us about, Lieutenant.
In science fiction, time travel is possible because cosmic anomalies not only warp space, they also warp time. But does science support the existence of these interstellar superhighways?
The average scientist says that the distances between stars are so great, 4 light years to the nearest star, that star travel is simply impractical. It would take them hundreds of years to go between nearby star systems. Therefore, they are skeptical that we have been visited by aliens from outer space.
Michio Kaku is a professor of theoretical physics at the City University of New York. In his book, Hyperspace, Kaku suggests that there is a mechanism capable of warping time. And Kaku does not rule out the possibility that another, more advanced civilization may have already found that mechanism, the unified field that Einstein dreamt about.
The new wrinkle, which has caused quite a bit of excitement among theoretical physicists, is that perhaps this river of time can have eddy currents, whirlpools, and perhaps may even fork at a crucial juncture in history.
But where those forks and eddies are, no one knows. The cosmic highway isn't marked with signs saying, wormhole next right, or this way to ancient Egypt. At this point, just finding holes in space is more of a stumbling block than traveling through them.
Perhaps in outer space, extraterrestrials may have the capability, with the technology thousands of years beyond our own, to open a hole in space and to begin to manipulate the fabric of space and time.
And that is precisely how Mark Davenport explains his belief that many UFO sightings are, in fact, extraterrestrial spacecraft. In Visitors from Time, Davenport describes hundreds of reported UFO sightings and alien abduction cases that he believes support his time travel theories.
So my hypothesis is that these people who operate these ships, their technology is so advanced that they've actually figured out a way to artificially warp space-time, the way a black hole does naturally. And if that's true, it could mean they could be coming here not only from other planets, but from other star systems, other galaxies, other dimensions that coexist with ours, parallel universes, even our own future or our own past.
By collating and cross-referencing specifics from eyewitnesses, Davenport believes he has compelling evidence that many UFOs are actually time machines.
We have the occupants of these craft are continually telling people, they ask them questions like, what time is it? What is time? What is your time? What is age? What is a year? And they say, you are caught in time and we're not. Our time is different from yours. Time is distorted in the vicinity of these craft and inside these craft. A lot of times people's watches will stop. We have people who say that their voices are distorted when they're near this craft, like when they breathe helium or something. So we have all sorts of indication that these things are in some kind of a field that warps space and time.
And one day, according to Michio Kaku, science will catch up with science fiction, and we will create a time machine of our own.
Most of my friends watch science fiction because they want to dream about what may be possible in the future. Real scientists at the cutting edge, working on the unified field theory, working on higher dimensions, working on time travel, these are the ones who are playful. These are the ones who let their imagination soar into hyperspace.
Not all scientists agree with Michio Kaku's hyperspace theory. Eminent physicist Stephen Hawking has stated that time travel is impossible because we've never been visited by any tourists from the future. Or have we?
Next, a sightings update. A psychic detective finds clues to a murder in this man's dreams.
It really wasn't considered a dream to me anymore because it all seemed so real, like I knew them or something.
Every morning I wake up starving. Must be all that dreaming. So I go to Burger King for a croissant sandwich with ham, egg, and cheese, plus hash browns and coffee, all for just $1.99. $1.99? I must still be dreaming.
Breakfast at Burger King.
From Boston to Bakersfield, from St. Paul to St. Petersburg, the drive is on. The Hyundai Summer Drive, where Hyundai dealers are driving down prices with factory cash incentives up to $1,000. Save big on a roomy, luxurious Sonata, a value-packed, airbag-equipped Elantra, even on the new state-of-the-art Accent. Hey, from New York to California, we're dealing on everything. But if you don't get to the Summer Drive, you'll be in a terrible state. Call 1-800-826-CARS for the Hyundai dealer nearest you.
Delicious.
Oh, how you long for that luscious cheesecake. What you don't know is that it's made with Philly-free.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
The fat-free cream cheese without the guilt, but all that Philly taste.
Can you believe this is Philly-free? Philly-free?
Hi.
Hi. Excuse me.
Irresistibly Philly-free. Now you can have it all.
Alan's asthma attack woke me. At 3 a.m., you don't try some unknown brand. You trust Primatene Mist.
It starts to open clogged breathing passages in as fast as 15 seconds.
We take asthma seriously with Primatene Mist.
Fastest type asthma relief without a prescription.
I can't believe this report is due this afternoon. What is that?
Craft-free Italian.
You carry Italian dressing in your purse.
Hey, I love Italian.
Obviously.
You want some?
No, thank you. No, it's too much fat.
Oh, no, this is craft-free. See, fat-free, cholesterol-free.
This sounds great.
Just try it.
Craft-free Italian non-fat dressing. If it tastes too good to be fat-free, it's craft-free.
Wonder if they make ranch. But they do.
On a previous Sightings, we profiled Charles Byerly, a man who has been plagued by recurring dreams of a brutal double murder. He said that he didn't know the victims or the killer, and dream experts found this highly unusual. In most recurring dream cases, the dreamer has a link to people in the dream. Sightings contacted psychic Kathleen Ray to see if she could find a hidden link between Charles and his dreams.
It got worse as it went along. Everything became like a nightmare. It really wasn't considered a dream to me anymore because it all seemed so real, like I knew them or something.
For more than 3 years, Charles Byerly has been dreaming about the real-life murders of 15-year-old Barbara Grimes and her 13-year-old sister, Patricia. The girls were last seen alive in December of 1956, leaving their Chicago home on the way to the movies. Their bodies were found a month later along a rural road.
I believe they've been reaching out. They still are. Maybe they're not at rest, you know? Maybe they just want to find out who did it, who's responsible.
Chicago police detective Jerry Schultz is keeping track of Byerly's dreams and feels there may be something significant in the strange recurring visions. Detective Schultz agreed to consult with psychic detective Kathleen Ray about the still unsolved case.
The first thing I do is take the victims and do a psychological profile. In the case of these two girls, I went into their personalities to see why would they perhaps go with a stranger and get themselves into this situation. Then the other thing I do is look to see the suspect. Do they know the suspect? I feel the man is probably in his early 30s. He gives off the feeling of late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there. I feel that he came upon the girls while they were waiting for a bus. I feel that they crossed over from the theater to a bus stop, and then I feel they had to go to another one, and that's where this happened.
These psychic visions mirror Charles's dreams in every detail but one. Kathleen Ray sees only one murderer.
I could smell alcohol on him, not only from that night, but like it comes out of his pores like he drinks a lot. I could smell cigarette smoke on him. I could see his hands, and I could tell he was a laborer of some type, a manual labor, because they were all rough from working with his hands. This man could very easily have worked for Santa Fe Railroad or for a company of that nature. Would it start with an S?
Working together over the phone, Kathleen Ray received confirmation for many of her psychic visions. Encouraged, Kathleen flew to Chicago to meet with Detective Schultz. She led the detective to the site of a demolished shack where she believes the killer once lived and where he killed the Grimes sisters.
I felt it was a green shack. It was back among trees. It was like I could see forest around it. I felt water behind it. And I felt that there were no lights of houses near, so I knew it was isolated so little girls wouldn't be heard. And it certainly has everything I saw in my mind that fits the scene.
When I first started working with the psychic, I was very skeptical, okay? Through my belief and upbringing, whether it be from a religious end, I did not believe in psychics. However, after spending several hours talking to Kathleen Ray, I've changed my opinion drastically. Kathleen Ray has said things to me about this area and about the terrain out here, which only someone who knows this area quite well would know about.
And no one had told Kathleen Ray that the site of the shack was only 3 miles from where the bodies were actually found.
I feel like he stopped and he brought them down, drug them down far enough to where people wouldn't be inclined to be driving along and see them just on the edge of the road.
Although Kathleen Ray believes the murderer no longer lives in the area, she is confident he will be found.
I feel like he's still alive. I feel like he doesn't live here right now. I feel like he lives in a state that has more mountainous terrain around. I felt it was a state that started with an M.
With the clues that Kathleen Ray has given me, I've got somebody in mind, okay? It's just something that I'm looking at right now.
The recurring dreams that plague Charles Byerly and the psychic visions of Kathleen Ray each point in the same direction. It's a direction that Detective Schultz is now following in the hope that Barbara and Patricia Grimes may finally rest in peace. Officially, there is no suspect in the death of the Grimes sisters. But Detective Schultz is following up on the leads Kathleen Ray has provided in a concerted effort to reopen the case.
Look what your brain has to go through just to remember all those good times. But if you took a picture instead, Ritz camera could be doing all this. With the famous Ritz big print and great Ritz color. So your brain could be doing something else. Carry a camera, catch a memory.
They get no kick being thrown from a plane. 1,000-foot fall doesn't thrill them at all. So tell me, why should it be true that they get a kick out of do 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 do? All right, now.
The plan.
We will take out the Pentagon.
The price.
$1 billion.
Now, a team of terrorists are trapped.
We have an intruder.
By a cook.
This I'm trained for.
And a busboy.
I'm Porter, not a busboy.
Now, adventure has a new commander. Steven Seagal, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. Rated R. Starts Friday, July 14th at a theater near you.
Ooh, my first banana nut run.
It looks great.
There's no taste like home-baked taste.
You can enjoy that same delicious taste in a cereal. Banana Nut Crunch.
Home-baked taste.
Real banana baked into crunchy oat clusters, chopped walnuts, and crispy wheat flakes, too.
Who do you think baked this, Mom?
There's just no taste like home-baked.
Banana Nut Crunch cereal.
Let me break it down for you. No one deserves to be beaten
threatened, humiliated, and no one owns anybody. Come on, guys. Peace begins at home.
Is the U.S. military hiding?
I feel like they know more than they're telling us.
A World War II fighter pilot dies while pursuing a UFO.
I believe there was a cover-up.
Is the government trying to bury a deadly UFO encounter? Then
we hit some black ice, and the car went out of control.
A mother finds superhuman strength to save her kids from a deadly crash.
I put my feet up to the window and kicked it.
The power to survive. It's only as strong as you believe. Next time on Sightings.
I can eat corn on the cob, and I can eat the apples, as long as I've got Super Polygrip on these dentures.
Hold your dentures super tight with Super Polygrip. Here's where we get the special ingredients for Jergens Naturals. For naturally clean, healthy-feeling skin, it's Jergens Naturals.
Your lips need special protection from the sun. That's why there's Blistex Ultra Protection with SPF 30. Advanced protection comes out of the blue.
Sightings has expanded its America Online area. Keyword Sightings when you log on for access to Sightings stories, images, and events. To subscribe to America Online, call 1-800-591-3344. And you can still reach Sightings 24 hours a day at 1-900-933-7444.
Until next time, remember, no mystery is closed to an open mind. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.
Women begin to experience the gynecological examinations done by the aliens on them.